What up, Tony? Hello,
Hi.
Kayla. Welcome, everybody, to the green room. Enjoying the slideshow, I hope. See, okay, so with the music, I'm never sure how loud to put it. So how's that? Might be a little too much.
Seems a little loud on our end.
That's the thing. I think YouTube tamps everything down, so.
Could be.
Anyway, how's that? Can everybody see Mervin there in the corner?
Mervin.
He's just doing his best. God damn it. Normal volume. Yeah, those sliders on the mixer are all the way up, Kayla. Don't you worry. I just am always unsure about the background music because at some point, if it gets too loud, it becomes foreground.
Yeah.
Oh, got a good one. Like I was saying, in the chat, I don't know if this is gonna give anybody a bingo because it's short. We love Mervin, thank you. I love him so much. He struggles, but look at him. He's earnest. He's just trying his little heart out.
He's just creepy.
I love him so much.
He reminds me of Tusk.
No, he's like one of those dogs with the weird legs on the back that just has to run the front. Don't talk about him like that. He's right here. Talk about him like he's right here. Anyway. Yeah, so I don't know. A lot of these on our bingo list happen in this interrogation for sure. But like I said, it's short. It's a Wednesday thing. I think I might pull out the one I've been saving that I've been basing this list on like almost purposefully. I pulled that on Friday, so
Is it a long one?
it's like an hour and a half, hour and 40. So double that if I'm going to sit here.
So a 3-hour show.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like, but it'll definitely get us a bingo multiple times over.
Oh, and the cool thing about that is we can just hit the reset button on our bingo boards and it resets the whole game.
Yeah, and then the winner, I got to find a way to put their name up nice on the screen.
Yeah.
But, we haven't had a winner yet. Maybe this time.
Maybe.
My favorite part of the show is the slideshow. I might be biased.
It is pretty good. I love the ones that you've made of Scott.
Yeah, I was like, who do I have a picture of in my phone? There he was. So I stole his likeness and I threw it all over the internet.
Yep.
Now he's in a castle and he's on a boat.
I'm on a boat.
If you want to be featured in a slideshow, send me your picture and I'll Photoshop it into something and it'll be hilarious.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people aren't comfortable with that, but you know what? Scott's face is already on YouTube, so I figured that was cool.
Right.
All right, how long? 4 minutes? Give it another minute, and we'll start popping off. I hope everybody got their bingo cards. I do not have one. I just have my list of things.
Why don't you just click the link and open up a...
Well, because what if somebody needs one and... Oh, why not? Sure. So when you click on the space, it'll automatically put an X?
Yep.
Nice.
And I think you can unclick it too. Like if you click it by accident, I believe.
All right.
Sure you mark off your free space.
Yeah, I'll be and that's the thing. I feel like the middle should be free to go space, but then that would be cutting out part of the the funniness of the you're free to go at any time.
I can't change it either.
That's
oh
fine.
well, I could.
We can just still call it free to go.
Yeah.
Free to go at any time. Just put your chip on that at any time.
Should get out of jail free card.
All right. We are popping off right about now.
You're listening
Oh,
to
God.
FFOP Radio.
I did it.
Reach the
Hey everybody, and welcome to the show, especially you, Matt Willis, who just walked in. Welcome, my friend. This is FFOP Radio. This is a Wednesday thing. I hit the news button again. They're so close together, you guys. You don't understand. They're millimeters apart.
Bingo news, yeah.
We need to get, maybe we should do a news segment again, and because that thing is never going to leave the soundboard.
I could find news on certain, like...
So anyway, here's Mervin, as you can see. I love him.
Rude.
Well, we can talk about the dynamics off air. So let's jump right into it. Here's what's happening. Like I was saying, this is the interrogation of Julio or Julio. They'll say his name. I don't maybe remember now. He's a semi-TCAP related in the same vein. He's a teacher. And the way that these interrogators go about their business is interesting. So here, there we are with this thing. Let me make it full screen. So another thing is, a lot of things are going to be going on, and I'll explain them as it happens. But I want to shout out Blue Dot because they're the one I'm watching on this one. But there's a bunch of them out there. If you're interested, I'm going to tell you about them. Where I get all these things, because I feel like a lot of these things I just want to wet your whistle on. And you can go find out, because there's one that I would love to crack into. It's so big, just the core of it. And then there's like a bunch of ancillary parts with like other people getting interrogated and like coworkers and stuff. And it really paints a picture. So I hope it just sort of wets your whistle. Let me get this baby keyed up here. All right. So we'll be stopping periodically, obviously, to chat about shit. I got my list here, so let's get going. So yeah, I don't know when he was picked up, but everything will sort of become apparent as it goes on. I don't want to spoil anything.
This time it was just her. You know, she was asking me because she goes, I was concerned about Friday because you're going to meet my mommy and all this stuff. And I said, okay, I wasn't even thinking.
Why?
What do you mean why?
Well, if you're going to take a female student to your classroom, you didn't think to like, let me just grab another.
And honestly, I just wanted to get her work done, get her, and then go back to specials. I'm doing great. So, and like I said, that's my bad. No, she's at the farther point.
So you can see where we're at here, right? Like, off the bat, it doesn't look good, but I want to point out a few things. First of all, our detective, who is full in frame here, has the voice of a 12-year-old. And so when he starts getting tough with this character, it feels pretty incongruous. But yeah, so you can see what we're going with here. And the way they're going to handle it is, I wouldn't have never thought they'd got where they're going to get, where we're going to go to. So let's go.
Okay.
But she's facing me, so that way if she calls me, it's like I can look up at her without walking away because I'm doing my grades on my computer.
While she was sitting at the U-shape or kidney table, did you walk over to check on her?
And not until she said something about her wrist or her arm.
And what did she say about her arm?
That she started tearing up, and then she started complaining about her arm. It's like, you said you were fine, and she goes, well, it started hurting me, It's like did you, So I walked over and I said, and I asked her, can I touch your arm? Mm-hmm. And she said, yeah. So I kind of held her like this, one hand here and one hand here.
Okay.
So I looked at it, it's like, is your wrist hurting?
Okay.
And she goes, no, it's not my wrist. I said, so I pointed like this. Mm-hmm. I said, is your forearm hurting? She said, yeah, that's where it hurts. I said, well, did you tell your mom and dad? And she goes, yeah. And then mom. Okay,
so number one, like one of the weird things about it is like this kid was wearing a sling. We'll find out later, but the kid was wearing a sling. So like the fact that he's asking, oh, your mommy and dad, about it, obviously like it's wrapped, it's in a sling. Like there's been like something happened and it had to take precautions.
What? I feel like we came into like literally the middle of this interrogation.
That's just where it starts.
Oh, okay.
So
so we don't know what he's being quote unquote investigated for or accused of allegedly.
No, if you're jumping in fresh, like I know exactly what's going on,
Obviously.
but you can see the clues here. Like he's a teacher. He took a single female student back to the classroom. They're talking about making physical contact. He's really over-explaining. Like, on what planet would you be like, is it okay if I touch you? Like, what? It's just, he's doing all of these weird qualifiers and...
What year was this? Was this recent?
I forget. get, and the timestamp's not on. It is fairly recent. Like it's within the teens to 20s of our modern era.
I go, what did mom and dad say? She goes, nothing.
Do you, when you
You see how
had,
it jops around.
and was she the only one in the classroom with you at
Yes.
the time? Do you normally take kids in the
No,
classroom
and that's
like
what I was
that?
telling them. Normally I try to get a couple kids, and I was
Okay, just before we keep going, I wanted to remind you all of this. Or not remind you, but it reminded me to tell you this. So the other thing I was going to call this episode, aside from Tickle Spot, is dig your own grave and save the police having to collect any evidence. Because as the story unfolds, I mean, the fact that he put up any resistance whatsoever by the time we get to where we get, I mean, obviously we're watching an interrogation, but like, but here's the thing. If you're guilty and inexperienced, you're not going to want to get a lawyer because you're going to be like, no, I can explain this, especially if you're, if you've been getting away with it, which allegedly may or may not have been happening here.
2019. Thanks, Tony.
There you go.
it was just,
Is that like
No.
policy, or is that common practice, or what is that?
it's probably common practice. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure it is written somewhere, but if you're going to bring a student back to your classroom, you always bring at least, if there's another adult there, or if not an adult, then you're supposed to bring a couple of kids.
And why didn't you on that day?
I wasn't even thinking.
You know
Yeah,
what?
and that's why I said, that's my bad, I'll get a, if I get a count statement from the school, that's fine. All I do was trying to, I knew she parents were coming, I just wanted her to get this stuff done, and then that was it.
So, basically, you brought her up just to do the work, correct?
Correct, yes.
What is that thing that's on your door? It's like a black cover. What is it for?
Oh, that's for active assailants.
Do
Ugh.
you normally have yours drawn?
It's always up.
Okay. It's always up?
Yeah, unless we have an active assailants, then we put it down, or when the kids play with it after school.
Something to keep in mind here also. Like, as we're like a fly on the wall, it looks like there's just a casual conversation going on between three people, and two of them are very interested and have notebooks and then are taking notes. But in the reality of the situation, he's been arrested and pulled into a police station. He's in an interrogation room and is acting nonchalant, right? Like if you're ever accused, or like if someone would have pulled me for instance, right? Someone would pull me off the streets or out of my place of business and throw me in the back of a car, throw me into an interrogation room, and then two people come in with notepads and pens and start asking me questions. I'm going to be highly agitated at best.
Right.
And so but that's the thing, a lot of these people get in this situation, get in the chair, and they go, okay, just act cool and pretend you don't know why you're here, or, like what? Like, and that's what he's doing here. Like, and of course the police are beating around the bush to see how long the charade will go, because like at some point it becomes farcical.
So, yeah. Yes. What about the black thing? He said there's an active.
Oh, he's just talking about there's like on the doors at their school, like they'll sometimes have the windows next to it.
Yes.
There's a black sheet that they're supposed to put over that if there's an active assailant, so they can't see into the room.
Oh, that's what he said. I see. Okay. And yeah, I mean, in 2019, yeah, that was probably a big thing. And
well, that's not an important part of this.
No.
I don't know why they're bringing it up.
well, in going back to what you were saying about asking if the teacher can touch the kid, shit started happening back in.
Well, no, I'm not saying ever. Like anytime a parent or a teacher, like it was either okay and everyone was doing it, like it was the 70s, or nobody was doing it because everybody finally realized that no one should be doing that.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. There's no middle ground anymore. It's not like, oh, can I touch you? It's like, go to the nurse.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You're right.
I'm getting it.
Yeah.
Because it's only taped.
Okay. Do you ever have yours up for like your planning period where you don't want to be bothered? So yours is always up?
Yeah.
Is there any reason why it would have been down that day?
Like I said, it's only held by tape. Masking tape.
So.
Yeah. Okay. So real quick. Yeah. Matt, yeah. I think I know the one you're talking about. That's the thing. People will remain calm even though it looks completely damning under the craziest of circumstances, because they think it's coming off as like genuine. And yeah, police will ask for the craziest things, and without batting an eye, the person will go, yeah, fine, whatever, do it. And I'm like,
I didn't do anything wrong.
Are you kidding me? His dink.
If you're in the classroom with a student
Mm-hmm.
and you notice it's down, would you have fixed it?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
You didn't notice it was down?
No. It should have been down.
Now, I'm going to clarify something. You said when you guys went down to the park, or not the park, but the basketball courts, right?
Yes.
For specials.
For specials, yes.
Went down for specials. She was stuck to you like glue. She just followed you around. Or she just stood in one spot?
She just stood there.
Okay, she stood in one spot. She stood in one spot for how long?
A couple of minutes until the coach came.
Weird thing to
I
say.
I reviewed the school video that day.
Okay.
Okay, so that's another thing. He just dropped a bomb. This school has video all over the goddamn place. Enough said, right? Like, and that's the thing about it is like everywhere is videotaped now. So the fact that, like, imagine, maybe you can just be deluded enough that it's a non-plus to you. But if I were to commit a crime and then, like, in a situation like this, be told, hey, I looked at the video of that. I go, what? And then you go, well, fuck. Like, you just throw your hands up in the air. Because at that point, like, if they're saying, yeah, they got video, I know police can lie.
Right.
But it's so believable because everywhere now, like, a ring cam catches all this stuff. Like, any time of day or night, you're probably on somebody's video. So, like, watch out.
First thing, she was in a sling. She was in a sling and she was sitting on the bench. She was sitting on the bench next to a little boy. I don't know who he is, but she was sitting
On that Wednesday?
I don't know who he is. I don't know where he is.
No, I'm literally telling you. I'm going to
Fine.
tell you what I saw on the video. She was sitting on the bench with that little boy. She had a sling on her arm. She had a band around her hair, had this big ponytail. I see you come down with your class.
Mm-hmm.
Your class sits. You just walk around for a little bit. You then walk over directly to her. You have some type of conversation. I don't know what the conversation was about. After you have the conversation, she gets up. You guys walk up that stairwell.
The side stairwell, yes.
Walk up the side stairwell. Proceed to the second floor.
Yes.
She had a sling on.
I honestly don't remember the sling.
Okay.
I knew it was the week before, but
She had a sling on that day. She had a full sling on her arm.
So where did it go?
Well, that's the thing. Like, what he just said, I watched the video. So, like, at this point, to deny, I mean, obviously, again, the police can lie. But the fact that he's like, I'm just telling you what I saw. This doesn't, like, police are going to bluff you in certain things. Be like, I know everything. Like, if there are two parties involved, they'll walk in on one and say, X party told me, so speak up why. But the fact that he dictates to him, like, every action that happened sort of erases the bullshit factor. So the fact that then this dude can sit and look at his face and go like, I know. Either know or I don't remember. But, like, a sling would be a fairly recognizable trait for a person to have, especially because most people don't commonly have them.
Right.
It would stick out in your memory. And, not for nothing, but you're a teacher and you see these kids all the time, so you would notice any massive changes, whatever.
Do you remember what the conversation was with her that day?
No. Probably mom.
Probably mom.
Probably mom.
When you guys got up to the classroom,
Mm-hmm.
if she had a sling on, why would her arm be out of the sling?
Because she's been taking it off the week before. I yelled at her a couple times.
So she would have taken it off.
Oh, yeah.
If she would have taken it off and put it on the table, or...
I didn't, and I'm telling you the truth, I don't remember it.
Okay. You don't remember what part?
Okay, so since he says I'm telling you the truth, we'll call that, you can click on I'm being honest, like, honestly, because anytime you have to preface what you're saying by I'm telling the truth, I mean, you're definitely trying to lend credence to the thing you're about to say, right? And in this situation, it always comes up, but I'm not a fan of, like, I'm just pointing out trends here. I'm not a fan of, like, breaking down, like, body language or speech patterns or whatever, because that still seems like more art than science to me. And if you just have a weird person, they can come off as a weird person, and then it's like, well, he looks guilty as hell, when it could just be they're just a weirdo or whatever. So you have to...
Yeah, everybody has different, speech patterns.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Whatever. It always comes up. I'm being honest, like, honestly.
What you just told me.
I'm gonna tell you the truth.
You don't remember her having a sling?
Not that day.
Do you remember the accident that happened that Monday?
Accident.
The accident that happened to her, that caused her to get...
Oh, no, that was during drama class.
Okay, so that was during drama class.
Yes.
That Tuesday she would have been in your class. Did you notice she had that sling on?
I honestly thought it was the week before.
Okay. Well, it is the week of possibly February 13th.
Okay.
Okay, now just keep an eye on how much this cat's writing, right? Like they're talking about very mundane and, what is he writing? Is what
He's
I'm getting at.
verbatim writing everything.
He is a very attentive note taker. Well, our female detective down here in the foreground doesn't take so many, but he is like, especially confounding at times when it's like, how is this useful to anybody, and what could you possibly be writing in that moment? Like, is it just to freak them out? Like, is it a tactic? I don't know, because it's not something that's taught, I don't think, but it's definitely something that a lot of people lean on. Like, the more people write, I feel like some people feel like there's a weight to that.
And I think, like, the more you write, the more it makes it a little more awkward because they're probably avoiding eye contact up to the
I don't know.
person also.
Depending on who you ask, it could do one thing or the other. But, I mean, in this, now we're looking at it, it's being video and audio taped everywhere now. Like, half of the interrogations I know and love start out with like, hey, we're not even going to bring a goddamn pencil in here because it's 4K. And the people go, oh, yeah, okay, great. And the other half of the time they have to go, this place is being audio and video recorded. Do you solemnly swear that that's totally cool with you? And they go, yeah. So the fact that writing is involved at all, like this is going to, not too far in the distant future, it's going to be like, what are you doing? Because, like, who's going to do it anymore?
February 13th, which would have been that Wednesday.
Okay.
You said that before specials, she stayed upstairs for a minute. You guys talked. She asked if she can come to your class. She proceeded to come down to the specials area with you.
Right.
And then she went back up.
Right.
The video never shows her coming downstairs with you. It shows you walking down with your class, and she's already down there.
Not that same day.
Julio, hang on, because what I don't want to happen is for us to go down a path that we can't recover from.
Right.
Okay, so.
I want to call her like the Pathfinder detective because she is going to talk about a path a lot during this interrogation. And you'll find that a lot too, is they'll, for whatever reason, every interrogator has their one metaphor they like to stick with. When a good interrogator picks and chooses a bunch of different to read the situation, when someone launches into something like this, it feels so rehearsed and so like, oh yeah, I'm going to hit him with my classic path bullshit. It's like, maybe read the room. Because sometimes it feels just like a tone-deaf performance.
The video that my partner's talking about, I watched the same video.
Okay.
So you have two different people watching the same video.
Right.
And it shows her class downstairs already, and she's sitting on a bench, okay, talking to another student. You come down with your class, and you approach her at the bench. Now, you remember...
Look at her hand movements, by the way. I feel like she studied under Marcel Marceau. She's like, da-da, and then they come over here, and they move this way. She's like the last lawbender.
Taking her to the classroom to do work, and
Right.
you remember specific details about her arm was hurting, and you went over to her, and you were like, let me see, and you
Look
were
at
like,
that
touching
hand
her arm.
work.
It was very caring of you. And why if you remember those specific details.
Also, yes, because here's the thing. They saw the video, right? They explained what was on the video. He knows in reality what happened because he is our perp. Spoiler alert. And the fact that anyone, that's the thing. He doesn't seem like a delusional person, though. I get like the Diane Downs or the whatever, like the totally insano who can look evidence in the face and go, no, like the Sarah Boone, because she's totally off her nut.
Mm-hmm.
But this guy's a teacher, right? How could he, with like any sort of like tension in his spine, be like, I don't know, or that didn't happen, or like looked him in the face, two police officers who were telling him exactly what happened on that day per video evidence, to go like, no, sorry, bros, didn't
That's
happen.
a different
I don't
day.
understand why I
Negative.
can't remember the detail about the sling. because that would explain why
When-
her arm was
Right,
hurting.
but when I went over there was nothing on her arm.
But even if she didn't have that sling on, her arm would have still been wrapped. The arm was basically,
But it was bare.
her arm was, in this video, her arm wasn't there.
Right, but when she came
Yeah.
to the classroom, it was bare.
So she would have had to take that off as she walked up with you, because on video, you walk in front of her, you go around the stairs. So these are the stairs.
Right.
Okay, so real quick, they are trying to establish when the sling came off of this kid, right? And I have not looked into the details of this case because I find them to be on some things I don't want to go too deep, and this one is one that I didn't want to go too deep on because whatever. But the fact that the sling was removed and like the severity of his crimes would lead me to believe, because like you would only remove a sling if you're a kid, if you're like going to start dicking around, and I can't think of a worse time to start dicking around than like when you're with your teacher. So if he's
Right.
doing it to get access or whatever, that's like another level of sinister, because like, I mean, the intent has to be there, and I know that what they're trying to prove, but he's just like, oh, I don't know, it's just sort of evaporated off of
Yeah,
her
it
arm.
wasn't there.
Now, how you walk in the door,
Mhm.
you got to turn around, right?
Right.
To walk up the stairs. You're in front of her. She's on your left-hand side. Her arm is completely slinged. I see her go past the video with a sling on her arm.
I
and
can't
you
with the
continue to walk up.
video.
You walk on the right side, she walks on the left.
Okay.
It's very,
She had a sling
it's very
on.
distinct.
Right.
Now, after you made contact with her in the classroom and you're touching her arm,
Mhm.
did you have any other contact with her
Nope.
that day?
That's it, because after she said that, she started tearing up, and then that's why I asked her those questions, and I said, well,
Not this is important, but the inconsistency with the arm, both teacher and lady cop have gone from arm to arm multiple times now, and it is now definitely like a monkey see, monkey do performative experience. Like, she started with the switching, and he is mimicking it, trying to get on anybody's good side he can. Like, he is trying to remain open, see his hands are up, like he's not sitting closed off. He's doing what he can, but again, there's video.
Right. Yeah.
after specials, if your arm still hurts, let me know. If you're in my classroom in the afternoon and it continues bothering you and you haven't done anything yet, then go let me know and I'll send you to the nurse. Then I walk back to my desk and I continue doing breaks.
If I'm a student in your class and I came up to you and I told you my arm hurt,
Mm-hmm.
and I begin to tear up, what would you do?
Well, not at that moment before school. The nurse is not there yet, so I'd say, well, sit down.
Well, this is during specials. I'm in your classroom, my arm is hurting, I'm tearing up, what would you do?
I said, I'll give them a choice. You want to go?
So what we just witnessed there was a close, like a kissing cousin of restating the question, right? So to buy himself a little time, instead of just answering the question within the context that's been heavily established by the preceding conversation, he's going to pull the dumb card and be like, well, when? What? Like in the morning? But there's no one there. I don't know. Pull a fire alarm. When it's like, what are we talking about, dickhead? Like, again, there are some professions that you cannot walk into interrogation and play dumb. Like, teacher is definitely one of them. I don't care what grade you teach. You cannot walk into a situation like this and just be like, duh. Like, how do you look after children? Like,
I don't know.
But I get what he's trying. Again, he's just trying to dance himself out of this situation because he thinks he's smart, but by playing dumb.
Yeah.
How does that work? Whatever. I'll just pretend like I didn't remember because it's incredibly hard to prove that you don't remember something. But what I'm getting at is we almost got something on the bingo card.
Almost.
Almost.
To the nurse, and then if they say yes or no, then if it's yes, then I'll send them to the nurse.
If they say no,
Then I don't.
you don't try
Then
to
I
make
punch
contact with
him.
the parents
Like
to let
what?
them know.
Well, the parent already knows.
That's what a student's telling you,
Correct.
but we don't know if the parent knows.
That's true.
What am I getting to check up on him all the time?
So-
Like,
What grade does this
I'm just
guy
trying to figure
teach?
out.
I think the person in question is like 11.
Okay.
So it's an elementary school.
It's like fifth.
What was
fourth
your
or fifth grade.
mindset that day if my arm is hurting and I'm just a student in your class and I'm tearing up?
My
And I'm
arm.
just like,
My
and
arm.
hurts.
Right.
And I'm showing you my arm hurts. And I refuse to go to the nurse. Wouldn't you make a notification to take liability off the school?
True.
But did that happen?
Notice what happened there? Wouldn't you, it's an open-ended question, right? It's like, hey, in this situation, wouldn't you do that? Wouldn't you? So it's a yes or no. It's open to you to say yes or no. He says, true. Should you fill your air like if someone were like, hey, should you fill your tank up with gas before you hit the road? True.
True. That's a
What?
true statement. That's
Like,
just a true
shut
statement.
up. Like, don't. I realize, like, your brain is in the situation, the stress is kicking in. You're going, all right, just fill the silence as quickly as possible. But with something close to sounding applicable as possible without being anywhere near the truth, true.
True.
No,
Okay.
no.
So,
More hand movements.
can
Here we
I
go.
ask what the full interaction was in the classroom while
Yeah.
she was upstairs after you were checking her
I was
out?
good. Yeah,
Well,
because then when after
so
that,
did she finish her work and then she left?
Yep.
There was no other conversation that happened?
Nope.
How much time was left before specials was over?
40 specials around 45, 50 minutes.
So
I
estimate
still-
or give me an
I still
approximate.
had about a good 45 minutes.
45 minutes left for specials?
I'm sorry, 45 minutes for total specials. So she was up there for about 15 minutes. So I was probably alone for about 30 minutes.
Okay. And what did you do while she was in the classroom?
I was at my desk doing grades.
Did you ever leave?
Bathroom,
Okay. How many times did you go to the bathroom?
once.
Yesterday you told me twice.
But no, before I went to the bathroom, and then when she was in the room, then I went to the bathroom.
So, like, needling him on this point seems pointless.
Stupid.
Yeah, we're way beyond rapport building, right? Like, so to take a step back to this bathroom thing, to be like, oh, once, twice, like, if we're trying to nail down a timeline of what's going on here, maybe that's like, but it's just like I get it. They're trying to like it's a the tactic is like you just keep asking questions over and over again, so you cannot let them stop their train of thought, so they don't have time to stop. But he's already doing that. He's already answering every question 30% into the question. So, like, kneeling him and, like, trying to get more and more, his mind's already going a million miles an hour. And, like, the lady detective seems to notice that, but my dude over here just, like, keeps asking pointless questions that, like, I'm sure felt legitimate to him in the time. It is hindsight is 2020 thing. But it's just like, what are we doing here? Like, read the room, right? Read the room.
Or was it once or twice?
Once in the classroom.
Okay. When she was in the classroom, what was your instructions when you went to the bathroom?
I said, just stay there, continue working. I'm going to go right to the bathroom, which is outside the classroom. And then I said, come back and then just keep on working.
Okay. At any time while in the classroom, did you say, hey, I'm going to tickle you? Did you attempt to tickle her? Did you?
So here's the tip of the iceberg. The tickle monster has appeared at the edge of the woods. So I'm sorry for what's about to happen to you, because the word tickle is about to go from ludicrous to losing all meaning to God knows where it's going to go for you. But buckle up, because we're about to talk about a lot of types of tickling and what doesn't count as a tickle.
So Kayla says maybe it's less about getting a bathroom timeline and more just making the perp more confused so he'll trip up in his lies.
Oh, for sure. But here's the thing. Video. Every square foot of this, and like, I can see why it's probably just habit then. Because how often do you catch a crime like this on video from stem to stern? Because, spoiler alert, they've even got video cameras in the classroom where the alleged event happened. So, again, and I know this as because I've seen it before, but in hindsight, he knows this too. So why are we doing this? I don't know. It's fun.
Hands on her in any other way?
No, other than her arm.
Okay.
Because she's one of those students that would tell, if I did something like that, I know she would tell the whole world. So
you're telling me if you did something to her, she would tell?
Yes.
So why are we getting this allegation?
So why are we here?
Here's where, like, we're about 5 feet into the grave, right? And he says, this is the girl I know that if I did something to her, she'd sing like a canary, which then is like the biggest, it's like a softball the size of a prize-winning pumpkin, right? So then the detective hits it with his bat and goes, guess what? Why is she then saying that? It would be as if that 5-foot grave, like you suddenly broke through the crust and fell into the Earth's core. Like you cannot get any deeper now. Like you're basically saying, like, hey, if I did it to her, she'd tell you, listen to her. And he goes, good news, we did, essentially.
This wouldn't happen to be close to why do you think we're here on the bingo square, would it?
It's
they're kind of like, well, why are we here for this allegation? Why, like...
Well, no, because they have to be completely unaware. That's the thing.
Okay.
Why do you think we're here is for people who go, oh, yeah, and they do small talk for 20 minutes.
Yeah, okay.
Like, he knows why he's here.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's what I'm trying to figure out.
At any point did you
I'm
touch
trying
her?
to figure out.
Other than
Other
her
than
arm?
the arm. Other than the
Ever?
arm.
Have you ever tickled her?
No.
Have you ever horseplay with her?
Not horseplay, like touching her, no.
Have you ever horseplay, grab ass, whatever you want?
Okay, another thing I want you to start keying in on. Lady Detective is getting a little tighter into frame, and my dude here is leaning in. So they're starting to close the net in concert with... Now, you just dropped the grab ass term. He's getting a little more aggressive in his language, and so we're moving in concentric circles toward, Lucifer in the center there.
They're pretty good
Nicole,
together,
Have you guys ever...
the two cops.
Yeah, they're not bad. I don't like their style specifically. Like their personality types are not for me, but it seems like they do work well together.
They're not talking
and that's the
over each
thing.
other.
You don't need to necessarily be everybody's taste to get the job done.
Mm-hmm.
Like the over talkers in the Sherry Papini case. Like Jesus Christ. But old dude, young dude duo in the Brent Christensen case, like they've been working at it for years.
Yeah. Kayla just checked her bingo card for grab ass.
And we don't have grab
Sorry,
ass.
it's not there.
did anything that would allude to being in a playful manner? Have
No.
you joked with her?
Yeah,
Okay. So you guys...
but not like one-on-one, you joking in the class.
So okay, we're in a group setting.
Yeah.
Have you ever tried to tickle her in a group setting?
No.
Julio, when you're interacting with your students, a lot of students that we spoke to today, and we spoke to about 40 of them,
Okay.
Jesus.
they all say that you're an awesome teacher. You're one of their favorite teachers. They love coming to your class. They love interacting with you. They love spending time with you because you're very easy for them to get along with. Okay?
So this is the classic technique. Whether they did that or not is irrelevant. But the fact that they're going to... it's basically dangling something in front of them. Like, look, your reputation is X. We talked to them all. Like, look at how much you have to lose. So let's get to... Because she's about to flip it and be like, let's get to the truth. Because, but you build up somebody's...
Ego.
ego to be like, hey, and it's a weird oscillating effect because they have to go up and down because it literally just causes you mental fatigue to like have to shift from aggression to like happiness to sadness to this, that, and the other. And it's just being foisted upon you by 1 to 2 to however many people, it gets exhausting. So and it works because we're seeing it.
Yeah.
A lot of other students have told us, like, you'll mess around, like, every once in a while, like, joke around with them and stuff, and sometimes you'll, like, try to lighten the mood if you see that they're sad or they're down or
Right,
something like that. And one of the ways that you do that is to, like, just jab them a little bit, like
Okay,
in the
but that's not
ribs
tickling,
or
but that's
anything
not
like that.
tickling.
Well, they said that you call it like a tickle, like a tickling thing, where you're like, I'm
But
gonna
I-
get you, I'm gonna tickle you.
But I
kind of
never
thing.
touched anything appropriately.
Okay, so here's the thing. He's going to be doing this a lot. I'm going to explain to you what this pattern is because, it's going to be obvious, but I'm going to get you ahead of the game here. It's going to be a flat-out denial. It'll be like a boulder, right? And as the detectives talk, it slowly chips away to a yes. So it's going to be like a no made of granite to like a yes this big. Because it went from, and here's the thing too, like in this situation where he's like, oh, she's just like, oh, you poke your students, and he's like, oh yeah, but it's not a tickle. It's not a tickle. But he has to know, since he's their teacher, that he's used the word tickle around them probably an unlimited amount of times. because he's with them all day, every day. So the fact that he's going to, again, lie to them in their face right after they just said they just talked to so many students is a monument to delusion.
Mm-hmm.
We just talked to 40 students. They all said this, and then they said this, and he goes, no. What? Like, all right, come on, man.
Well, we're not saying, we're not alluding to you touching them inappropriate. We're just trying to figure out, have you ever tickled them? That, like, we literally, like she just said, we've interviewed like 40 something.
Like this.
And they were like, you'll poke them, and you're like, hey, I'm going to get your tickle spot, and then...
So this is a modified admission. Since it's not like murder or anything like that here, because how do you say like, oh, it was a soft murder? you can go from a tickle to like a poke or whatever, and that's the soft admission here is like a touch with ill intent can be hand waved away as just a generic G-rated, hey slugger, like tap on the shoulder or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Soft murder.
Yeah. There's no soft murder. There's no soft robbery. Like if you shoot someone, it's like, oh, I'm a huge fan of guns, but I'm also a fan of juggling and I accidentally yada, yada, whatever. It's just, but it gets the door open. And so, and that's it. Once the door is open, and we've seen how quickly his door is open.
Yeah.
Shoo. I mean, again, again, this is hindsight, but I can't help but imagine I would have the same brain there in the situation, seeing him opening up like clam after clam after clam in a bake. Like, again, why spend so much time on all these inane details? Be like, yeah,
meh,
with a wiffle bat. Yeah, definitely.
Right. But
do you say that to them? Like, I'm going to get your tickle spot?
not
Like,
tickle spot, but like, oh, we're going to, I'm going to get you or something like that.
Mr.
But,
Soto.
Or something like that.
I got like more than 8 kids who told me that you said, hey, I'm going to get your tickle spot, and you poke them. Have you ever said, I'm going to get your tickle spot?
honestly, I don't know.
Okay.
I mean,
Honestly, I don't know. And he's probably said it dozens of times a day. Like, here's the thing. If you're going to come in here and just do this shit, admit to some of the shit. Like, when they interview people like victims or family members of crime, some of them will implicate themselves simply by using the wrong terminology or denying things they think are embarrassing that have no germane to the case or whatever. Mm-hmm. And especially now when he's like, I got 8 kids, telling me you use these specific words to then look him in the face and go, nope, nope. Just admit to the stuff that there is like. And
that's not a crime.
No, but that's what. There's a person in the middle of the road who's a little bit of an experienced criminal who will do that thing. They hide a lie in the truth. So you'll admit to the tickling as a form of whatever. Just be like, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just overly, like I was raised that way or whatever. Mm-hmm. Have your excuse. But don't just flat out deny it when there's going to be like, schools are full of people who see you all the time. And they're like, come on, man. It's not like it happened in a dark alley and it was you and one other person. And like, they're going to interview some old lady up the street with some binoculars and, oh, it was a, coincidence beyond coincidence. It's bustling with people.
Yeah.
And you're a popular teacher.
And cameras.
And cameras. Video.
But I would never, ever, if I had a Bible, I would put it right there. And I'm sure you probably hear this all the time, but I would never touch a girl or boy, for that matter.
Or a boy.
Inappropriate area.
We're not calling it inappropriate. We're just asking if you ever tickled them. So you're telling me you'll poke at them, but you don't say anything? Because that will make it awkward.
He's right. He's right.
I honestly, I don't know.
Have you ever tickled a student?
An educator. A man that we as a society entrust to teach our youngins, what they need. Is pulling the story that like, yeah, I tickle them. I remember clearly poking and tickling them. But when he's asked, do you say anything? He's like just a mindless robot, like jabbing students. Like, what's worse, right? Just admit to, that's the thing. If you're not guilty of things, you admit to things because you don't see the sinister nature in them.
Right.
Like people get themselves in trouble because they admit things that have no sinister intent, but under the right context. And since nothing can help you, everything can and will be used against you. You talk dig your own grave and save.
Yeah.
Not tickle like a normal tickle.
Have you ever tickled
an intense tickle?
Tickle is like tickling like this.
Like a monkey.
Okay. So
Tickle and
how would
tickle.
you define it?
That's what I do.
Okay.
Just
So
a poke?
You poke.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you ever use more than one finger?
Later, this wall filed charges against him and the detective.
Have you
No,
used
no.
2, 3, 4?
No, one.
Okay.
Yeah, one.
Have you ever reached out and touched?
No.
Look at her hand
Nothing
motion.
like that? Like on the side or anything? Just been like, hey,
No. They touched me. I already have a bruise right here from one of
Yeah.
my girls giving me a hard hug.
one of the girls give you a hard hug?
Yeah, she's a big girl.
Have you ever
Yeah.
have you ever been told by the school staff or anybody on school campus that you got to slow down on hugging students, tickling students?
I do, and we talk, and that's why.
I do. Here's the thing. His brain wants to get in front of his mouth so fast, and they'll start pointing it out at a certain point. These detectives, as much shit as I give them, they're pretty sharp. They start pointing out, basically every time we ask you something, the first thing you say is the truth, and then everything that blustery follows after that is not.
Right.
And that was just a small, that's, and again, the tip of the iceberg as far as the tickling and stuff goes too. So, but yeah, just don't talk, right? But this guy's guilty, and that's why we're here. It's
I tell him, the one girl that gave me the bruise over here.
Hard hugs and
well, not
soft
bruise, but hugs, honey, you can't be doing that, and it's because it was at dismissal, so everybody says goodbye and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So the couple of kids, one of my boys, Christopher, he gives me hugs every single day. So that, so most of my hugs are like this. Sometimes I'll like that, or if it's a really long hug, I was like, okay, time's up. And there's always students around.
Have
There's
you
always-
ever received a complaint
On what?
from
On what?
on what? Again, the rearing of the head of the close cousin of the repeat the question. Have you ever received a complaint? Why the fuck are we sitting here, man? I realize that. And here's another thing I don't understand too is if you're going to sit here, you're fighting for your life. The fight or flight or freeze, thing is happening in you. What good did that do for him? Buying a couple extra seconds of what? So
Yeah.
she'll just have to restate her question and add an extra detail, reminding you that, yeah, you're in a police station and we've been talking to you about how you've inappropriately touched this child.
one of the students in your class?
Not in my class, no.
Have you
Someone
ever
else's
received a
class?
complaint from any student on campus?
Yeah, like I told you about 2 years ago.
And what was that complaint exactly?
The same thing, the tickling.
Okay.
The tickling?
Yeah.
Okay. So you have tickled students,
No, not her.
not her.
So how did that happen?
How did she complain about something that didn't?
And I said, let's talk about what's going on.
There was another cut there, so God knows what's happened. But God damn it, here we are again with the tickling thing. It was another tickling issue, and she goes, "Oh, so it was," and he goes, "No."
It wasn't. Nuh-uh.
I see this all the time in humanity. It's just really on display in interrogations because you're fighting so desperately for your life, and since lies are hard to remember, and it's the truth, quote unquote, is basically just your memory. So if you're making shit up, it's hard to remember because it's not a memory. You're making it up. You'd have to memorize it. And memory, you already know. So the fact that he's God bless these detectives for sitting here and taking it for so long. Because Jesus Christ, again, the gold standard is the confession, but video all over the place. I would maybe I would just be a lazy cop, but I'd be like, hey, guess what? We got witnesses, we got the victim, we got acres and acres of footage
All of the
all
people.
over the place. Let's just call it a night. Yeah.
And he goes, something with the other teacher and everything. I said, well, you can't get upset and everything. And so then this girl, who also has needs also,
Okay.
and she comes over and then so is he'll do this to me. So I did it back to him, and then she says, oh, well, I want to play, and she did it to both of us. And I was like, this is a two-way conversation. This is a three-way. So then when called me in and told me what happened, I said, she said that the parent was concerned that I was tickling her. I was like, tickling her? I said it was a conversation between me and another student, and then, because the other kids were on the floor sitting waiting for us to go, and everybody's just talking, they were looking at each other and everything, and then she came over because she saw me.
So here's the thing. A lot of interrogations will have stuff like this, right? Where like the person in the hot seat has done something similar before, and very rarely does the cop ever give us as the viewer, like you and me watching this, the satisfaction of what the record actually states.
Mm-hmm.
Because like take Sasha Samsudin and Stephen Duxbury, like his recounting of his juvenile offense is like he was a hero who accidentally did this thing, like by hitting his friend's sister with a shovel and like took the fall, and he was this hero when actually he was just like a mini rapist who was about to like be that for the first time.
Jeez.
And I wonder what the actual story is here, because obviously all that was bullshit. Like nobody in their right mind, like even as a child, like would go be like, oh, hearing that happen, being like two people poking each other, one joining, one of the original two being like, no, and that being reported and getting to a state where now the police know about it.
Right. Yeah.
Like, so come on.
And
Tell me is what I'm getting at.
trying to, converse, and then she comes in, and then, so started smiling because I started making him some jokes, and then, so he goes, oh, I'm going to get you, Mr. Soto. And I was like, oh, no, I'm going to get you. And then she comes over, and she goes, oh, I'm going to get you, Mr. Soto, I'm going to get you. Like.
So, have you ever received any kind of counseling forms or anything from the school?
Yes, for that one.
For
That's
that
the only counseling form you've ever received?
That I know of.
Okay. Would you consider your...
But what are the fucking details, right?
Yeah.
According, like, his story is so innocuous that, like, it would seem farcical for a principal of a school to walk up and be like, for poking a student 6 times and having a misunderstanding with a third student, you're on parole. Like, no.
Here's a counseling
yourself to
form.
be like the friendly teacher?
Yes.
Would you think that some students would just think that your friendliness is a little extra, a little over?
Oh, God, it finally hit me. This detective is like if Carl Winslow and Steve Urkel were the same person.
They can, because they're only
Carl
10.
Urkel.
They're 10, 11 years
Kirkle.
old.
Okay.
Steve Winslow. One of those two.
Have you ever been pulled aside by other teachers and said, hey, relax with this stuff?
Mm-mm.
Never.
No.
Has another teacher...
No, we always.
Okay, I don't mean to stop again to point out the obvious, but I feel like maybe that's just my job here. He has told nothing but lies the whole time they've been in that room. So the fact that she is still like, have you ever, like, he only admitted to that one incident because there's a paper trail to it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I guarantee he's been spoken to by other teachers and or parents about him being a creepy weirdo, because these things build and people notice shit. But since there's no paper trail, he goes, nope. But we'll keep going down this road. Like, I would just, because he's only going to admit the stuff that there's a paper trail to, that, and also the second provision being he didn't already immediately blurt out the truth before backpedaling. So,
Yeah.
but now that we're going down the same road, he's already prepared for this. So it's kind of like bouncing off the concrete wall.
Talked about like when the hugs, and like we were talking in the team, was like, yeah, we gotta be careful because a third person might not, if a teacher has a relationship with a student and a third person walks by, they're gonna say, well, why is this student excessively hugging or always hugging this person?
That's always difficult because I see teachers like you spend a lot of time with your kids,
Right.
and you get attached to them.
Mhm.
You're like another parent to them.
Right, and
almost.
as I told you, they're
Yeah.
calling me like their school dad.
Right. So you have that kind of bond with them, but
Mhm.
I'm talking about not necessarily in like a pod setting or like a teacher setting, like with a bunch of teachers talking. I mean like one-on-one, like another teacher's been like, hey,
No, not
Relax.
to me, no.
not to you ever?
No.
Okay.
And then we run around the mulberry bush one more time, except this mulberry bush is 3 times as wide. It's the same question, and he goes, no.
Have you ever interacted with a student and then had someone question you afterward?
Question me afterward.
Gotcha.
Go for it, yeah.
Well, there's a cut there, so God knows what he said. But, okay, so maybe that Perp repeats the question. Question me afterward. It happened. Finally, he'd been dancing around with his cousin all night. Question me afterward? What do you think we're talking about here, numbnuts? I can't believe, like, the amount of clarification we're having to do. And this man is an educator. It just blows my mind every time it happens.
Perp repeats question. Add that to your bingo card.
Yeah.
Okay.
We got 2 so far.
Yep.
There have been complaints from multiple students who said that they've heard and seen you gesture toward other students making comments about their bodies.
Oh my gosh.
Have you ever done something
gosh.
like that? So why would the kids tell me, different kids now,
Right.
all
Not the
different
same
ages,
kid
all
multiple
different
times.
areas of the school tell me that that's not true, that they've seen and heard you make these comments.
Honestly, I don't know.
So are these kids all lying on you?
Don't know.
You don't, well, that,
This is a quasi-cousin. Are they setting you up? So we're going to call it. Go ahead and put that on your bingo card. Is someone setting you up? Are these kids lying on you? It's the same thing. Basically, is someone
setting you up?
But like, and like what kind? Like what an absurd thought, right? Like a bunch of 11-year-olds put this cabal together, to, like take down everybody's favorite teacher.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, let's take down Mr. Soto by doing this, and like, what? Like,
We want a substitute teacher for the rest of the year.
ballsy.
Well, hold on one second. You said she was lying, but earlier you told me that if you were to ever do something, you know that she would be the one who would just go out there and tell the world.
Exactly.
Huh?
So why is she telling the world?
I don't know. That's why I'm very confused and upset, and that's why I was talking to
Clip that little bit of audio out and play it to anybody. I'm very confused and upset. And you could be like, how do you think they feel right now?
Right.
Neither of those, right?
Yeah.
but she was one of the kids that said that you were one of her favorite teachers.
mhm.
She
So
literally said that you're her favorite teacher in the whole wide world, and she has so much fun in your class.
Mhm.
So,
I try to.
So why the lie?
I don't know. That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Well,
Why at this point, again, he is just so lost, and who knows what reality is anymore, but he's still accepting compliments from these people. Hey, you're a great teacher. Hey, thanks, man. That
I
really
know.
means a lot.
I
Now,
try.
what about touching your kids? Hey, whoa, I don't know. It never happened.
I don't know why they're lying.
Right.
And I don't know why it's a whole bunch of people telling me the same story.
Mhm.
The very same story. The details and the facts don't change. I've been doing this job for going on 11 years now.
Yeah.
There you
Bingo.
go.
Years in office. It took us a while to get there, but every one of these babies, bar none, they gotta bring up. And if it's not very long, they'll say, I've been doing this a long time.
And when details and stories don't change, there's usually something to it. So what I want to do is I don't want you to paint yourself as this bad person, this monster.
Oh,
Okay,
that's
hang
I feel
on.
like.
I want you to paint yourself maybe as the person who may have made a mistake. If a comment was made, then it was made. We can't take back what we said.
Right.
But I want us to be honest, especially in this room, because what I'm hearing, and I was not with my partner last night when he met you for the
Right.
first time. So what I'm hearing and what I'm being told, I want us to be able to represent as positively as possible what's been going on. Because there's a lot of people who are being impacted by this.
Mhm.
And I want you to
And-
understand this. If the stories aren't changing, but yours is, that's a clue. Wait.
That's a clue.
I need for you To be honest with me, if you accidentally touched her, or if you did something in a way that, or reaching over her,
Right.
you glazed over her shoulders or something, just tell me.
And I have no problem with that.
Because that's not inappropriate touching.
Right.
This technique is like a Swiss Army knife, because the mistake theory or postulation as like a lessening of stakes is used everywhere from burglary to murder. If you find a body that's been hacked into 487,000 pieces and all shrink wrapped individually and signed by the murderer themselves, the detectives in the interrogation room will at least once be like, was it a mistake? Were you having an argument and things got heated and you spent the next 2.5 weeks sawing their body into tiny cubes and freezing them? Is that it? Did they fall down the stairs? Like that sort of thing? Like what?
Did they hit their head?
Did you accidentally reach out and grab an 11-year-old's chest for 45, 50 seconds? Accidentally?
I have no problem with that. Like I told you last night, I have no problem. If I make a mistake, I'll confess up to it.
Yeah.
But if I
This
know
was
I
intentional.
truly didn't do something,
My old boss, he used to have this saying, if you mess up, fess up.
no,
Did you mess up?
no.
Well,
I mean, I messed up as far as,
The detective at this moment looks like he leaned over to start picking at his ass to like say something profound, and now he's like stuck over leaning, 2 fingers on his butt, like, did you mess up? And he's like holding it for dramatic effect.
as
What do you consider it that you messed up?
bringing her up.
Look at that. So we've got another big shift in the movement here. He is now directly in front of him, standing in between him and the door. So whatever there was before, there was at least a little light at the end of the tunnel. It was scary on both sides. You have a detective on the left and the right, but you can see the door right there. There's a little less pressure on Mr. Soto here. But he just jumped in front of him, and now it is like... I mean, this is my opinion, obviously, but at this point is like when it feels like a snake versus a chicken in like a Thailand animal fighting back room somewhere. And the outcome is inevitable because one, is a snake with handcuffs and the other is a very scared chicken running around trying not to spend the rest of its life in prison. But it grips you.
Stairs allowing her to come upstairs alone to not bring
Look
up
back
the
on
police.
that. Would you do it again?
No.
No
I
way.
wanna
I'm in
confirm
jail.
something real
Yes, sir.
quick. You said you've never taken another student up there by themselves before.
Correct.
I got several staff members saying this might
And
be
how
like the
come
second
these
or
40
third time.
kids?
Be straight with me.
No, seriously.
Have you ever?
No, she was the first time. I always brought students up, but not alone.
Have you ever had a student who stayed in the classroom alone?
No.
Let me ask you this, Julio,
Yes,
okay?
ma'am.
Just hang out with me for just a second,
Sure.
okay?
Hang out here.
Okay, so now look at this. When the elbows hit the knees, that's basically it's used a lot in these interrogations. What they're trying to do is dig into him and get him to mirror this because they're trying to bring their heads together and commiserate with him. And we just need to solve this out. Like, we're compadres. Let's get in here and start thinking. And so if they can get him to mirror that, it'll be a big drop of his guard.
What I want to make sure that we're understanding each other,
Yes, ma'am.
okay? Because I think that some of this can
If only she said we need to be honest with each other because they're being honest with him,
Right.
right?
be a miscommunication,
Okay.
okay? But when I have, like I said, multiple kids
Mhm.
telling me multiple different things, then I'm having trouble with what you're telling me,
Okay.
okay? And that's why I'm trying to avoid you going down the path that I see you going down,
Okay.
okay? I don't want you, like I said before, to paint yourself as this monster. I want you to paint
Bingo! We just got the monster.
They said it before, and I was like, why didn't David say anything?
Is it the word monster?
Uh-huh.
I was specifically waiting for the word monster. But anyway, yeah, you're not a monster. Are you a monster? Maybe you are a monster. That word, I don't know. It doesn't hit me. Like if someone called me a monster, I don't know if I would. That word seems a little diluted. Maybe it needs to be updated. But yeah, there it is, the monster. Monster in all of us. Are you a monster?
paint yourself as maybe the guy
She's also the pathfinding painter.
that may have made a mistake. Maybe you made a comment. Maybe, while you were reaching out and touching one of the kids, you may have, it's possible. When kids laugh, ha, 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 they wiggle around. I have kids, I get it, okay?
Right.
So what I want is just pure honesty from you, because I don't want people, and other people are going to review this, okay? I have people, my chain of command are going to review this, and what I don't want to have
That should probably be on the card at some point, is they bring up the chain of command. A lot of these, to illustrate the seriousness of the situation, they'll basically string out this long line of people and say, it's not only us two in here, but there's two more out pounding the pavement. We've got my supervisor, their supervisor, and then go all the way up to judge and attorneys and yada, yada, yada. Like, the governor's hearing about this. But yeah, they'll always be like, there's this laundry list of people out there, and P.S. video.
Amy Ramirez, just being
go
honest.
back to my
Just being
computer
honest.
and say, Julio's a monster.
Right.
Because he's not saying what his story isn't lining up
Was 3 Days Grace the one that sang Monster?
with all these individual stories that are coming out, okay? But hang on, let me finish, okay? Because
I'm going to let you finish.
I want, Julio, what I
Let's
want
steal it.
is I want for you to be honest with me. I'm being honest with you.
Correct.
Bam.
Bingo, we got it. I'm being honest with you. The cops will always tell you they're being honest with you. And to their credit, they actually have shared a lot of honesty with this man. They've talked about the video. They have, they basically laid out everything for him. So yeah, in this case, it's not really misleading. But yeah, I'm being honest with you.
I'm being upfront with you. I'm being straightforward with you. And I don't think you're a monster at all. A monster isn't the kind of person that makes people, react the way that these students do to you. They still like you, which tells me that you may be a good guy.
Maybe.
Okay?
But you're still going to
And
jail.
that's fantastic. But even good people make mistakes.
Sure.
What?
I've made mistakes. My partner's made mistakes. People make mistakes. What I want from you, okay, is for you to I want you to let me help you.
Right.
Okay? But in order for me to help you, I need to have honesty from you.
Right. And I'm telling you everything that I remember.
The word help comes up in a lot of interrogations too. A lot of detectives will offer help, but the key to unlocking that mysterious and oh so beneficial help is you completely admitting or fabricating or whatever, getting them what they need so that as soon as they hear it, that help is like the scales fall from their eyes and they're back to being blanks and they get called back to the mothership like they're Borgs. Like they could give a fuck about you. They could not be more invested in this man right now. But like in most, as soon as whatever the linchpin is, if they ask for a lawyer or the interview's over or they feel like they've got enough and they got a confession, it all dries up.
Mm-hmm.
And some of them are really good at it. Like the Kelly Cochran detective who was on her case and did like 6 or 8 hours worth of interviews with her. Like he is so good at playing to her game. It's sickening sometimes because I know that like he has to leave that interrogation room at some point and be like, ugh.
I don't think that you are. That's the problem. I think you want to tell me everything that happened, but I don't think you're telling me the whole story. I believe that you went over to her and the sling wasn't on her arm. I believe that part of your story.
That part.
You just said that she was saying, hey, put your sling back on, what are you doing?
Right.
I get that.
But it wasn't that same day.
Okay, but how is it not feasible then that she would have removed the sling while she was in your classroom?
I honestly don't remember. That's why I'm trying to remember everything. I don't know.
Why are these other people then telling me that they've seen you touch her? Okay, because
I've seen this one a lot, and the chunks that are cut out are so tantalizing to me because they are always before questions that I would really love some juicy details to. And the fact they're cut out means they probably were answered for once. And I feel like what we got here is cob and no corn. We've got nothing but the no, I don't know, nothing, not me, no. When everything that's cut out is him, like, yeah, actually, yeah. Totally, I did that.
Yeah.
I want to go down this road with you, okay? But you're fighting me.
I'm sorry.
There's very specific recollection from independent individuals.
I'm not saying I never did it. I just don't remember.
Seeing you reach across and touch her.
So we got another half admission because he's wearing down faster than like a fucking birthday party candle. So now, like, I don't remember is fine as far as like being a shitty strategy that you can employ. But then that soft of like, I don't remember, I don't think so, but I don't remember. Like the more qualifiers you add to an already shaky statement, like it's pathetic.
Yeah.
Like I may have also will come up or has come up. You say, I may have, I don't remember. I may have. Because yeah, if you've got 80 people around you being like, yeah, it happened. Like, I may have, or like those qualifying statements when you're going to lie are if you know for a fact that you don't know there's proof. Like if I were in that situation and I was a criminal and I were needing to tell a lie but didn't want to get caught in the lie because perjury is a crime that somehow someone cares about, that's what you would say. You would say, to the best of my knowledge, or I don't think so, or whatever. So it'd be a qualifier. So if there is something of evidentiary proof there later, you can go, well, there you go. I just remember. But at this point, it's like, you know, your face is covered in chocolate, the cookie jar is shattered into a million pieces, and your belly is sticking out comically like you're Garfield in a strip. And you go, I don't remember what happened. It's just it's all a blur. And you wipe your hand with a chocolate, or wipe your forehead with a chocolate hand.
Touch. Why am I being told by different people?
I touched. Oh my gosh.
Why is that coming up? Help me understand.
I wish I could. I don't know. I don't remember ever doing that.
I don't remember.
No, ma'am, I don't.
I don't know about that because it's your story that you were telling my partner from last night is varying now.
Well,
and the story that you're telling me in here is that these kids are all lying on you, even though they're your favorite teacher. I understand that parental interaction that you have, but I also want you to think about your family.
I know.
I know, and it's a scary thing, is it not?
And my daughter's the same age. Well, she's in 6th grade.
Your daughter's in 6th grade.
Yes, and that's why.
So hang on. So this is a scary interaction, but I don't want it to be a scary interaction. I want it to be a positive interaction, because if a mistake was made, then a mistake was made, and we can come and we can clear it up.
Right.
And your family can move forward, because this is a very difficult thing for a family to deal with. I'm sure that you and your wife had very in-depth conversations last night after my partner left your house instead of...
So we had another big cut there, but like that's what this boils down to. While you're listening to this, it's the essence of everything. And the image that brings to my mind is we've got a stubborn farmer trying to pull an equally stubborn pig through a hole in a barn that is just too small for the pig. Like, if they both tried, they'd probably get through all right. But, you know, the one is fighting the other. And he is slowly slipping through that crack, though. Like, I don't understand in this scenario. Like, I know where the police are aiming, right? Because they have a plan. They know what's going on. But when you're sitting in the chair and you're answering all these questions, like, time must cease to exist. Like, you don't know when the questioning is going to end. It's like being questioned on the stand. Like, you get to get down when the questions are done. And so to be in that no man's land, but also at the same time having that ripcord that no one ever pulls hardly of, I want a lawyer. Like, that stops everything all the time.
Right.
But people are willing to go through the meat grinder to like try and talk their way out of something because it's worked up until then. Like, I said, and so far it has. Like, he must have been able to talk his way out of that first one because here he is.
Of having to go and step backwards.
Right, but I'm telling you, everything I remember to the best of my ability. If I messed up, I'll mess up. I'll tell you the truth, I'll mess up. Because like you just said, and we do the same thing in the military, and that's why I call my. That's
another thing. Like you're going to, we're learning a lot about this guy. He's a family man. He's got 2 kids of his own. He was in the military. Like, this is the type of person that an idiot who's never been into true crime would say, like, oh, criminals look just like you and me. No shit. We're all people and we all look like each other. And the thing is, like, you've broken crimes. You've speeded probably. Like, when you were a kid, you probably stole something or done something illegal over the course of your life. You look in the mirror and not a monster, right?
Right.
So, like, again, but it's just another, nail in that coffin of like, oh, criminals are just like you and me. And yeah, like, this guy was a functioning member of society in all ways but one.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. No, he's in jail.
I told him what happened last night. I saw him self-reporting because this is what's happening. And so I have to, let them know.
Okay, and what did you self-report?
That they came last night and I'm being accused of touching one of my students inappropriately.
So why then are her grades plummeting after February 13th? We have your grade book.
Right.
And her grades, she went from an A student, high marks in your class.
Mm-hmm.
She was doing extremely well. And then, as strange as it is, right after this February 13th, this Wednesday,
mm-hmm.
this specific date that we're focused so hard on right now.
I again, having watched this many times, I always am curious as to how far after it happened, because some time has elapsed. Like, so they're saying, like, her grades have slipped, and the amount of like agony that this little girl had to go through for all of this, and then to have this dude, because they're scumbags. Like, I don't know why everybody expects criminals to like, oh yeah, got me, and like own up. Like, not everybody's an Ed Kemper, and they're gonna be like, oh well, here's what I was thinking and feeling, and why I did what I did. But it's something galling about something in everybody's DNA, I feel, that like makes you want to jump up and be like, no, just say the thing. Like, just come on, man. But I honestly, that's never, like, not even considered by anyone ever. But we all expect it to happen once a mountain of evidence is presented on a plate before someone who's obviously guilty of something. You want to see that Hollywood scene where they slap the photo on the table and they go, fine, it's true, and they cry and collapse on the table, and Elliot Staber rubs them on the back and gets them a cup of coffee or whatever.
Yeah.
Doesn't happen like that.
We've been talking about for the last, hour.
Mm-hmm.
Why are her grades plummeting?
28 minutes.
60.
Oh, plus the edits.
She's doing terribly now in your class.
And that's why we had to talk with the parents, with the 504.
But the 504 talk happened on a Friday.
Correct, yes.
Long before her grades started plummeting.
Mm-hmm.
She got...
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So when the question of why are the grades started plummeting, and he says, yeah, that's why we talked with the parents. And she goes, no, that happened in the past before this happened. And he goes, mm-hmm.
It's preemptive strike.
Not even going to backpedal on that one. His brain was too fast, and then it just stopped. so your defense for the thing that happened later is something happened before it?
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
Got that
Radical.
Right.
hurt on Monday. So her arm could not have been in a sling the week before.
I was going to bring that up, but I knew they brought it up here. But yeah, like, again, with the timeline, are you fucking stupid? You're just making stuff out of whole cloth. They established early on that her arm was hurt on a Monday, and they let him repeatedly refer to an injury, or that injury that happened the week before, but it didn't. And so, like, I get it, because, like, now, if I were in the jury and I weren't allowed to say all of this, I would just be stewing, and I'd be like, guilty, as soon as they were, like, right into the box. And obviously, because like, look at this crazy shit. Like, this is the kind of stuff that I, as a jury member, would love to watch a whole entire, like, they'd have to like put a popcorn popper in the courtroom.
I'm telling you what we know.
Right.
Before we get to this point, we do a lot of things.
I know.
Okay? So the week before, there's
Might be
no way
getting close to something.
I would have yelled at her for having her arm in a sling, because her arm wasn't in a sling until Monday.
Okay.
And then the 13th, she came to your classroom. We know that she was on video. You went and got her from specials after you dropped your kids. You took her upstairs. Her arm was in the sling then. After you got in your classroom, we know that she was working on something in your classroom, be it a test or homework or whatever it was, she was working on something. And you went over to her and you placed your hand on her.
On the arm, yes.
No,
No.
Here comes a big
that's
reveal.
not where you placed your hand.
Yes, ma'am.
Why is everything else not lining up? Why is the teacher, who is everyone's favorite, now being painted in this light?
Honestly, I don't know.
Well, you have to help me cross that bridge, because I can't go over it by myself. I don't understand. I'm not in your shoes.
Right.
I'm not a teacher. I don't live the life that you live.
Right.
Again, with the
These students are all...
with the mixing of the metaphors, we've done a path, we've been a painter, we've gone down a road, now we're crossing a bridge. Just stick with the ones you know. I feel like she's trying to get fancy here, like, because she obviously isn't confident in any of these. I would just like stick with the one. I mean, work it, because you can play within a one concept idea easier than switching between. The point is, you don't want to get caught in like a recitation of a monologue, because then you got the people falling asleep.
Right.
And it's like the first thing that you should experience when you go into an interrogation is like, hopefully you're respecting of your rights, not a reading of Hamlet with someone like a big rough, like, oh, hey, let's talk about ye old Miranda rights, and then we walk down this path with me, and we'll take hands and lead all the way to the shores of truth. Yeah.
telling me, Mr. Soto's awesome, but he does this stuff.
Right.
Why? Like, why would they be making this up on you? It doesn't make any sense. It makes no sense whatsoever.
The only thing I can think of is maybe when I try to be cool with the kids, play around, they take whatever I say the wrong way. I don't know.
I think we've all had cool teachers, and I maybe I can't speak for you, but as cool as the teacher was, I never misconstrued a comment as for mistaking rather that for their hand on my genitals. That never happened. No, it was like, hey, looking good, Dave, and I was like, look down, and there was a big hairy man hand on my crotch. And I go, ah, never in a million years. I had tons of cool teachers.
Yeah.
Well, what do you say that they could take the wrong way?
I don't know.
Well, help me out. It is what it is. We're sitting in this room together, and we're having this conversation. It is what it is.
It is.
But I'm telling the truth. I've had the Bible, whatever. I'm telling the truth.
Okay, I'm not worried about the Bible. Okay? I'm worried about
anything.
Every time somebody establishes a prop, and I commend everybody in interrogations who do this, because they're sort of like giving into the absurdity. But as they are, like, the Bible, you can almost picture the Bible on the table, because they both keep making eye contact with it and like pointing to it and waving at it and stuff. So like the play acting going on around this Bible is very comforting to me, because it's something that we can all agree on, that we're all like looking at that isn't there, but we're like, you know what? There's the Bible.
Appropriate to
I'm worried about what happened between you and these kids. There is another student who came forward to us today and said that you reached around and you touched her. So why are they telling me this?
Classic reach around.
Like you said, maybe I don't know. I'm just I can't think of the word. Hypothesizing. Could be, like you said, I could be touching somebody and they turn around and then he just goes in front or something like that.
Okay.
I don't know.
And I can live with that, but
right.
I need you to tell me about this interaction in the classroom with
So here's something that maybe just isn't on anybody's radar in these situations. But like we're all humans and we've lived human lives and have human experiences.
Mm-hmm.
And when you accidentally touch someone or when a touch gets too weird, you automatically feel it. And I wonder if, since they're getting their jollies off it, like that alarm system is just shut down. Like, because you have to overgo a lot of societal pressures and a lot of your own instincts not to do something. If you're going to do something this heinous, we've all agreed that this is a terrible thing. So to override all of those checks.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's got to be something like, and I know, all with like the big serial killer murders and stuff, like people say that there's something off in their head and all that stuff. There's got to be just something that you can just kind of turn off, or that they just don't have.
And it's not even like a matter of, because intellectually it's there. I think it's just, it feels more like a willful disassociation. Like, it's the same, in the same vein, I'll put it like that two wolves bullshit that was floating on the internet, popular meme-wise for a while. It was like a good wolf and a bad wolf. Like, the more you compartmentalize yourself, the easier it is to write off parts of yourself that you don't like. Because you can wall it off, label it as something, even though it is just as much of you as everything else. But you go, oh no, that, I won't even acknowledge that. And that's where you get schisms in these mental disorders, because you're not integrated as a person. You're slicing chunk after hideous chunk of yourself off into these weird no man's lands, which I'm sure he's been doing for God knows how long. Like, he's in his 40s. It didn't pop up yesterday.
Right.
Because I think that what's happening is we are so detailed up until we get in the classroom and it's, well, she did her work and then she left.
Yeah.
She really, like, they were touching the wall, and she really got married to that idea, because she touches the wall for every accentuation in everything she is saying, despite the fact that it has no bearing. Like, she's not demonstrating a tickling. She's not moving it along in like a timely fashion to be like, this happened, this happened, this happened. She's like, these people right here, they saw you, clawing at them through the wall.
That's not how that
Except for the
went.
arm.
Okay, but that's
Right.
not how that went. I don't understand how someone as detail-oriented as you are could miss some certain real key points.
There's a point.
But I'm telling you, that time frame, it was about, I would say about 15 minutes. We came in the classroom, I told her to go over there, get your packet. I sat on my desk and I started working, and then she asked me a couple of questions.
You'll notice, keeping in line with the pantomime toward the Bible, he's also used the keyboard multiple times. He's always like doing the grades, Like, I don't know, there must be some innate thing where people think if you act out what you say you were doing, whether it's true or not, it adds credulity to it. It's like repeating something over and over again. The barrier to entry is lessened because it becomes more believable every time you hear it. So when you look at someone, you go, I was doing the grades. And you go, well, obviously he was doing the grades. I see his fingers moving. He obviously couldn't have been molesting a child. His fingers were moving over a keyboard. I saw him do this.
Yeah.
And I answered the questions, and then she started tearing up a little bit about her arm. So I said, I went over there, I sat next to her, and then before I touched her.
That's not how it happened.
Yes, ma'am.
No,
Yes,
Julio, that's not what happened, and I
Yes,
don't
ma'am.
want to go down this road anymore because it's not what
Ma'am,
happened.
I'm not, honestly, I'm not
I
lying to you.
believe that you went over to her because she said her arm hurt.
Correct.
But what I don't
Right.
believe is that you sat next to her and that's the whole interaction that you had.
And I believe what you told us is true. You remember what you told us earlier?
No.
That you couldn't do anything because you would tell the whole world.
Right, and I wouldn't, if I'm that type of person wanted to excuse my language, cock a feel or something like that, or whatever, touch a student, why would I do it to a student, to a student that I know would tell everybody?
And what an interesting question to ask, right? Like, why wouldn't you ask yourself that before you molested them? Because knowing that, he obviously knew it because he brought it up, but to know it, then bring it up, then to have it brought back up to him being like, doesn't that seem weird to you in an echo chamber now? And then for him to be like, yeah, which is why I'm so confused.
Where am I?
Like, if your boss came in like, oh, the office smells like dog shit. What's going on? And there's like a dog shit trail of one footprint, one after another, leads all the way to your office, and you go, I don't even own a dog. Come on, man.
You've done it before and she hasn't.
And you have the capability, the opportunity, and the intent.
Right. But I'm not a...
Before he calls it, you have the capability, the opportunity, and intent. The trifecta of a crime. He said you had all of those. He said right. Intent is one of those, and he said right to it.
I'm not a predator. I'm not a stalker. Not stalker.
You disagree with my partner. You have the capability, the opportunity,
Right,
and
so
the
does-
intent.
Right.
So you
The intent,
you
not
did
the
it.
intent.
Well,
Huh?
you just agreed with him.
You literally just met the triangle.
Look how close they are getting to him, though.
Right, but I wasn't intending to do anything.
But you're in the room.
Yes.
He wasn't intending to do anything.
I wasn't intensifying.
There's no other
It
adult.
wasn't intentional.
Nobody really knows that this child is missing from PE or they're special, where they're supposed to be.
Correct.
They're in a room with you. Nobody knew this child was missing. This child returns to special before special's
This
over,
child.
just in time to go back to the next class.
No, she was only in my class for roughly 15 minutes. So there's still good.
15 minutes is
A
long
long
enough.
time.
Oh, I'm not.
Real quick, I'm sure this happens, but I want to see it somewhere because, again, yeah, we do have lots of video and photographic evidence nowadays because there's cameras everywhere, and even then, people have them on their phones, and they're catching shit all the time accidentally. I would love to see one interrogation where, like, the evidence is shown. Like, aside from the Sarah Boone case, because she shot that, and it's not like she knew she shot that, and obviously, I want to see, like, them swing a laptop around and see, like, full HD, like there was a security camera that caught the whole thing, and they go, explain this, because that's what I would love to see happen here.
Yeah.
They're going to bring up where all of the places the cameras are. And if they just cut together, like a good YouTuber could cut together a highlight reel of the creepy shit he did and be one and done in 2 minutes and be like, okay, explain that. And then you won't have to be like, well, what'd you do? We know different. Because it's one thing to spar with words, right? You can lie because you're talking, and it's easier because you're not looking at the thing you're lying about. It just seems like when you've got it, why not flaunt it, right? Show those gams, whip out that footage and be like, look, here's your hand on her chest or whatever. Now explain that. And they go, I get why, because they go, lawyer, please. But it doesn't seem like, let's say if you make it past the hour mark in interrogation, they're probably not going anywhere. So let's try it for God's sake.
Well, yeah, and like, why waste your time if you have all the evidence? Who cares?
As
If they
I'm
ask the
saying
lawyer?
too, like if you've got someone dead to rights, like DNA, video, audio, pictures, like as much as they have on this guy, like it's not even like, oh, we need to get it. It's like the fish, you went out fishing, you baited the hook, and as you were reeling back to cast, a giant sailfish jumped into your boat and like had a stroke, and every once in a while it's like, meh, and so you're having to go like, hey, cut it out every once in a while.
Yeah.
Like it's done. Like show the fish the footage.
I was just trying to rush and get through. I wasn't thinking.
But that's not all that happened.
What are you rushing to get through?
No, just to get through to get the work done.
Get closer.
Julio, I'm starting to really pull back from this idea.
But physically pull in because now their knees are almost all touching.
Okay, that maybe you didn't mean for something to happen. Because nothing that you're saying is lining up with the video. Nothing that you're saying is lining up with what other students are telling me. Nothing is lining up with why her grades suddenly started to plummet. Nothing is lining up. I've been doing this for quite a while, and when the facts
11
don't
years,
add up,
remember?
there is a problem. You're not a stupid person.
I would have named the stream Show the Fish the Footage if I had, the power of clairvoyance. But sadly, here we are in the power of now.
You're not, you're an intelligent man, okay?
Allegedly.
I know that from talking to you. I'm not a stupid person. I'm an intelligent person. What I'm asking is for us to meet on equal ground and speak as intelligent people to each other and speak as adults to each other. And what I'm starting not to get is that
Look at her dance moves and stuff. Number one, I love her theatrics. But number two, like her diatribe about them both being intelligent and meeting on intelligent grounds and drinking the intelligent cup of coffee and having an intelligent biscuit is like, that doesn't mean dick. Is like, you're basically just saying, hey, we're both smart, so tell me why you touched a kid. And anyone with 2 seconds to spare or 3 brain cells to rub together to be like, well, yeah, I am intelligent. And an intelligent person wouldn't come out and say, I want to do this. But someone a shade smarter than him 40 minutes ago would have been like, lawyer.
That sure sounds as close to let's cut the BS as we're going to get in the bingo card.
We might. Let's hold out. We got a lot. I'm 2 away from a bingo on my own card, and I can't remember if these 2 happen. So I'm really hoping.
you don't want to tell me either because you think you can outsmart me, which is not going to happen,
But
or you don't want to tell me what happened because you're afraid. So which one is it?
I'm afraid no matter what, because I'm about to, I'm feeling I'm going to be arrested for something I didn't do, and that's what's really upset.
Well, tell me what you did do then, because I'm being told by a bunch of people what happened.
Remember the wall?
So tell me what you did do so that I can close that gap.
Right, and I told you exactly what happened in that room. Exactly
No, you
what
didn't.
happened. Yes, ma'am.
We're missing something,
There's a piece that's missing.
and it's a big one.
You went up behind her, and you put your hand on her chest.
Why would I jeopardize my job, my license?
I don't
Possibly
think,
career.
I think
I
it
don't-
was one of those things that it happened. It wasn't like it was, this huge mastermind kind of a plan. Maybe she came on to you.
A couple of things. So number one, I like how she's sort of downplaying it. Like, obviously it wasn't a mastermind thing. This isn't years in the making, and he doesn't seem like, especially how clumsy this comes off as, he doesn't seem like a great groomer or someone who was grooming long term. So yeah, obviously, but then to follow it up with like, maybe she came on to you. There's the Naomi Jones case. Like, I get like in adult murders and you have to throw everything at the wall to see what sticks. But when the victim is like 11 or 12, and be like, maybe she was like really into you as a 40-year-old.
I don't know. I'm not in your shoes and I'm not there. Maybe she's saying stuff to you. Maybe she's commenting to you.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe she's commenting on your Facebook post.
No.
Okay, so these kids who are telling me
at
that
least
you're
she didn't
making
go down that
comments.
road.
Which one?
Like being like, yeah, that she did say something to me. Like at least he didn't pull,
yeah,
like he didn't
but
believe that or take it.
Like the only time, I shouldn't say the only time, but I feel like my gut says the only time you would hear like, did she come on to you, would be if the person isn't a teacher. Because like a civilian, like with what's his name in the Naomi Jones case, sure, whatever. Like you're a registered sex offender. Go ahead and spin the yarn that a 12-year-old came onto you sexually. But as a teacher, I do not believe that even. It's just too delusional.
Yeah.
About their bodies. Multiple kids are lying. Multiple kids are telling me that that you've reached and you've touched them in inappropriate places. Those kids are lying. This child who says that you are her favorite teacher in the world is telling me that you have touched her, and now she's lying. So it's the world against you.
I'm just telling you what I know.
So
No, but you're not.
Yes, ma'am.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
And there are several students who tell us that you always say, hey, I'm going to try to find your tickle spot. Are they lying?
Back at the damn tickle spot.
But
Yeah,
I
be
don't.
honest.
But
Is that one of your phrases?
if I say that stuff, it's not to be inappropriate.
Okay, so
if I say that stuff. Like, again, with the soft, like, oh, to the best of my knowledge, like he's saying, like, it's not like, is there any reason to believe, like a classic bingo card spot? Is there any reason to believe X? God, to the best of my knowledge, that's when you pull that shit out. But if in the question the answer is there, right?
Yeah.
You can't be like, to the best of my knowledge. You just heard it with your own ears, motherfucker. Like, what?
When you touch or tickle your students, where do you touch or tickle them?
Like shoulder.
But the shoulder's not a tickle spot. If you poke my shoulder,
Well,
I would
because-
tickle.
I'm not gonna touch any place else.
Have you ever touched a student in their stomach and tried to tickle them?
In the stomach, no.
Like, how about their ribs, their rib cage?
No.
Now we're running into another.
So at this point, you could probably make a case that this human body is being piloted by an alien, because the answer, where do you tickle them, and like the question, where do you tickle them, and the answer, the shoulder, is so far from anything a human would actually answer, is ridiculous. Like, we were all kids, and if you have kids, you're especially aware of where you're ticklish, because you use that to gain a little time to get them out of your face.
Yeah, it's true.
Like, you tickle a kid to get them on the ground so you can run your ass off or do whatever, so they're not, tickling is great for your own kids. And we all know where those spots are. So the fact that anyone, anywhere, we go like the shoulder, the shin, the elbow, like that feels so alien to me, like literally alien. Because when the question, where do you tickle them? Oh, the shoulder, tickle, 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 right on the outside of that shoulder.
Well, because he knows, okay, yeah, I tickled somebody on the ribs. Well, that's awfully close to their chestal region.
Again, yeah, but like if you're going to admit to something, like get in front of it.
Yeah.
Like the ribs is, if you're going to be drawing lines and cutting up the human body like one of those cow posters in a butcher shop where the danger zones are, ribs feel a lot less dangerous than stomach in this situation. Like if someone were like, hey, you tickle that kid in the ribs? I'd go, if I did it, yeah. But if I were a weirdo, the stomach is so close to, like, I mean,
I personally,
it's all a danger zone. But if you're going to have to admit something because you're in this situation, then yeah, ribs. Like ribs are ticklish, and it's a believable thing.
Yeah.
Like it's hard bone behind it. No one's like, oh, haha. Like it's something squishy and can get like a weird feeling, but like the stomach is headed very dangerous. But to go the complete 180 and be like, oh, the boniest, least sensitive place on the body, the shoulder.
Yeah.
Mr. Soto, classic shoulder tickler. No.
Another problem, because the students that are saying that you have tickled them but you haven't touched them in any other inappropriate place are saying that you tickled their ribs. So
Again.
Right? Because it's the truth, number one, and these kids you didn't molest, so line up with the kids who are on your side.
Right.
I'm not giving criminal, like this isn't criminal mastermind 101. This is for why I feel common sense pre-college, right?
That could have been like what you said earlier. They could have turned. I don't know. I don't remember
They could
those
have turned.
particular moments. They could have turned. They could have.
Yeah, one kid was spinning, and I just reached my hand out, and it was full of, shotguns.
you have kids.
Yes,
How many?
3.
When you tickle a kid, do you tickle on the shoulder?
No, I took it on the arm.
Like you heard the words of that question coming, and like then not only to answer in the negative that no, obviously I don't take him on the shoulder, but then to give like a look of incredulity and to shrug and be like, no, of course I wouldn't take him on the shoulder. I would never do the thing I just said 45 seconds
That's
ago.
stupid.
Okay, well,
Nancy Brophy.
why would that change when you're at school if you're trying to tickle a kid to make them laugh? Every parent knows,
Right,
like, we don't just
but-
tickle the shoulder.
Seriously.
You're running yourself, you're burning a candle at two ends.
No, I'm
It's
just.
this
Also, spoiler alert, no matter how into you are consensual tickling, it's almost never near your erogenous zones of your genitals. Like, no one ever gives somebody a laugh by tickling them near their genitals.
That's true.
Like, tickling is like now completely meaningless as a word.
Yeah.
But it's so innocuous that like, but it is one of those things where like it is a gateway that could be something gross. But by and large, if you're going to be tickling someone and it's all in the up and up, it's nowhere near anything weird. And it's all in the places that we're all familiar with. Like no one's going to rip off your shoes and get at the bottom of those soles.
Ugh.
But like under the armpits or all the ribs, yeah, of course. But like all these weird denials and the backpedaling, and they're like, oh, of course. No, never on the shoulder.
Turning down, I'm
No,
telling
because
you,
you're not understanding what.
No,
you know.
I am understanding. I am
I'm just,
understanding
you know,
what I'm
We're all
understanding
understanding
what I'm being told by multiple people
On this
and
wall.
what my facts in my case
Right.
are showing.
But
me.
I'm not doing it
and
to
what
hurt anyone.
you're-
You know,
I'm not.
I'm not-
No, I don't. See, now I'm starting
Oh my
to
gosh.
think that
See, look at his reaction there, where he is now like that is genuine fear in his face, and he goes, "Oh my god!" Right after a cut,
Yeah.
what was just said that made him react that way? Because look at our situation, dude, detective, head in his hands, he's bored. Lady detective still on the same bullshit diatribe and same hand motions. It's the same boring bullshit we were going over. What was just said that made him react that way? And how was she able to slip back into, so let's get back to the honesty loop, right?
Right.
maybe you aren't who you're presenting to me. And I don't like that. It makes me extremely uneasy
Right.
with you. But I don't understand,
Right.
and I can't understand why this is so difficult.
Look how close they are. Like, you cannot get, like, these people are essentially dating now.
Right.
I'm not accusing you of doing anything to harm this girl.
Right.
Hilarious.
I am not accusing you of any violent action. I'm simply asking you, Julio, did you touch on her chest
Mhm.
when she was in your room?
And I said no.
Okay. I don't think that you're telling me the truth.
Why would I lie knowing I could lose my license? I could probably go to jail, hopefully not go to jail.
Keep it on.
Keep everything.
Episode number umpteen of, like, shovel full of dirt. Like, why would I lie? And then,
She's in his lap. The detective.
oh, for real, like, she is like, you know, she's like so far into getting him to mimic, she's like putting her elbows on his knee. But then we're so far into this, and God knows what it is real time. We're 40 minutes edited time. God knows what was cut out or how long. And here he is just falling apart. It's I want to see all the pieces we're missing, because I feel like we're missing a lot of context here for this. But, you know, we got to take what we can get, and it's just a wild ride.
I have,
Julio, can I ask you something?
yes, ma'am.
But to double down, don't ask the question you don't want asked and then answer it yourself, right?
Mhm.
Why would I lie? To keep my job, to keep my family, to keep my standing in society. Those are why you would lie. So why did you ask that question if you knew the answer, Julio?
Julio. She's
Just
folded
a
in
few
half.
minutes ago, I asked you a very specific question. Julio, did you touch on her chest? And you know what you answered me?
No.
You answered me yes.
Not the
You
yes.
just answered me yes.
I touched her
And then
arm.
I started talking again, and
Okay, so this is a brilliant and also very sketchy manipulative tactic, because he obviously, or at least it's obvious to me, that as she was speaking slowly, he was agreeing to the question that they were both coming together on. And when she finished it, he said no.
Right.
But she'll be able to flip that on its ass and point to this interrogation footage and be like, aha, I heard a yes, regardless of context. You know, flip the book, let's get out of here and get a pizza. Because again, against you, not for you.
Yeah, but I
And he
mean, his lawyer, I'm sure, could get that taken out of.
It doesn't matter. Like that's pointless. That's like a grain of sand on a beach. But I'm just pointing out that's another tactic they'll use is, your words are literally used against you, even though his, at this point, again, it's not a big pile of evidence on a plate anymore. It's like he is at the bottom of Mount Superstition of evidence, and he's just been digging ever since they've got into this room.
No.
Yeah, that touched her arm.
What kind of... You want to tell me the truth, sure, tell me.
I'm telling you the truth. If I wish I could.
She might be able to see it here pretty soon.
Wish you could what? Swear on the Bible?
Yeah, or anything.
We don't want
This
that.
Bible, right here.
We need you to tell the truth.
Oh my gosh.
I want to know what happened in that room. If it's what perceived and what actually happened, those may be two different things.
Mm-hmm.
But I need to know why her perception is so drastically different from your story.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I can't tell you. There's nothing to tell you.
You can't tell me,
because
or
there's
you
nothing,
won't tell
no, there's
me,
nothing
because
to tell
those are
you.
two very
I told you
different things.
exactly what happened.
So why is everything pointing against you?
I don't know. Maybe I'm just too nice. But I don't know.
Like, that's the thing. The ultimate in like playing the victim card is like you're too nice. Like you've just been taken advantage of by the world. And I'm not saying that crazy shit doesn't happen, right? But no one has been like a doormat to the extent of like getting thrown under the bus of like touching kids. It's just like, oh, you know what? I just did too many errands for people and ended up convicted sex offender. What?
Uh-oh.
Like one day I'm grabbing groceries and mowing lawns, and the next day I got my celly and we're both drinking toilet wine. I don't think so, my man. Like, there's a lot missing out of that story.
I don't know
I'm
that
not
it's
lying to
that
you
you're
folks.
too nice.
I'm not lying to you folks.
I think that you're...
I'm not a pervert. I'm not anything. I don't know.
We didn't
Because-
call you any of that.
But I feel like it because those kids, boy or girl, doesn't matter. My daughter's almost the same age as a
He
little
does
bit
that a
older.
lot. Boy or girl.
Wouldn't want anybody to touch my daughter the same way too.
Sure.
I'm not trying to do anything inappropriate or to get me in trouble on purpose or anything like that.
How would you feel if somebody tickled your daughter in school?
I know
I'm asking.
the same way.
The same way as what?
Be upset and everything.
If somebody tickled your daughter in school, you'd be upset?
Yeah.
So why do you feel like you can do it?
But I don't.
See what just happened there?
Mm-hmm.
It should have been a very clear back and forth. I deal with this on a daily basis with everyone in my life practically. Where it's this sort of, instead of a straight shot conversationally, we have to jump around the lily pads in this pond that we finally get to the answer. And it's, maybe I'm only good at pattern recognition and everybody else is completely out of the loop. But when you've been sitting here and doing that over and over again, where you go, no, this, that, and you go this circling the drain of like the Rock of Gibraltar is the no to the tiny yes that finally squeaks by. At some point, maybe I just want the detective to point it out and be like, man, just come on. Like, that's what I want. Like, they're trying to do it, professionally and with evidence or whatever. But at some point, you just want to be like, come on, man. Like, come on. Like, just appeal to them as a human instead of like this happened and this happened, evidence of this. And just to be like, because sometimes you'll get that. The detective will be like, down home or country or whatever. Like, come on, man. And sometimes it works. But at least it's cathartic is what I'm getting at.
Why do you feel like you can do it?
But I don't do it to
Why do you feel like you can do it?
just.
Is the question. I'm not asking for a justification. I'm asking why do you feel like you can do it? If you would be happy,
It is so nice, personally, to have someone like her in any situation hold someone's feet to a fire in a situation where they have to answer a question. Because I feel like everybody in your and my life, regardless of context, if you ask them a question, whether it be something related to work or family, sometimes you'll get this bullshit runaround because nobody really wants to answer or nobody knows or something. And I feel like I'm always in that position of like, no, answer the question as posed when we're constantly dancing around like, oh, well, you know, the sky is blue essentially is the answer. And I go, and like, I'm just like speaking specifically, like, especially where I work, where it's, you know, a medical setting and I need very specific details to very specific questions I have because, you know, it's medical and people take that shit serious. And they go, well, you know, pie? I'm busy. Whatever. Just answer the question.
You would not be happy with the same behavior that you're exhibiting.
Right.
Why can you do it and not other people?
But I'm not doing it to.
Well, neither are they. I'm not saying that they are either.
So another thing we're seeing here too is the human capacity to just fry. When you are bold-facedly when your hypocrisy is placed, we all have hypocrisies. We have all got double standards where we say, I want this, but we secretly do this or whatever. It's to varying degrees. Not everybody's a monster, obviously. But when something this big happens where like your whole public life is no, I'm not, but your whole private life is yes, I am. And then you're finally pushed into a corner here. Yeah, I imagine it would be impossible to answer that question because here you are. And now you have to justify, not only to yourself, because to yourself, yeah, you do it because you like it. You're a weirdo. You're a sex maniac. But when you have to say it out loud to another person, it's like knives in your own throat because you have to come to grips with who you are fundamentally. And it's a hell of a place to do it at the end of an interrogation table in the corner of a gray room at the end of your long, miserable rope.
Yep.
I told you I just made a mistake as far as being alone and not thinking, should have brought a couple of kids up. You know, we would not be here right now.
I also believe we would not be here right now, and we would have been done a lot sooner if we gotten the full truth.
She's not wrong.
And I agree.
He's not wrong either.
I have no problem. To tell you the truth, I'm telling you exactly what.
But you did. You did just a few minutes ago. I asked you if you touched her chest, and you said yes.
I don't remember that. I remember touching. You asked me something about
I
her
don't
arm.
like
You
that.
remember in the beginning when we asked you about tickling and you just denied tickling straight out, and you finally told us you have tickle students?
But
you admitted
because the
Yeah, but
word
tickle-
tickling,
tickle-
you're going by the word tickling. I'm doing this like almost like a poking.
a tickle.
Right. And that's what these idiots will do too, is like they'll get hung up on definition. I don't know why idiots think that like this verbal back and forth about what you personally mean versus what society means by a certain word. We all are here on the same planet doing the same thing. Like, you know what a tickle is. You're a fucking teacher. But like, and then to like, it obviously went back to like demonstrating on this wall that has been nothing but the, the victim of punishment from all three of these people now. I was like, well, let's argue about definition when the reality of the situation is it's divorced from any reality. Like in the situation, we have a child traumatized, possibly crying, and that's the reality. There's pain and suffering there. Here, we're completely divorced from that in a sterile room where now we're talking about the definition of tickling. And like, this is justice. This is our justice system. There's a girl at home crying because the teacher she liked has now destroyed her picture of the world at large, which is, probably what happened or close to it, because that, like, it's a fucking crazy age for shit to start happening to you. Mm-hmm. And here we are being like, well, what's your definition of tickling,
Let's
sir?
get out the Webster's dictionary.
But I'm not tickling to.
He's not
to
tickling
be inappropriate to.
If your daughter was taken into the classroom by her teacher, who's a male, with nobody else in the room, how would you feel?
I'll be upset. I will go to the principal and talk to them.
About what, though? You're doing it. Why can't they?
Well, because I'll have to find out why. Because all I was doing is trying to help.
See, that hypocrisy thing, with little issues, we can sweep it under the rug neat as you please, right? Because if you say, oh, I gave up soda, and someone catches you with a Sprite in your hands, you say, well, I've been being good all day or whatever. You come up with a bullshit excuse to bear the hypocrisy that you have, and we just sort of all move on. But these are some big things, and some people even fight about the small stuff. But here we are, and these are logical questions because he thrust into the situation. Yeah, like there's one interrogation I hope to get to one day where he says, the detective's like, well, what would you do to the person if this happened to your kid? And keep in mind, it's the thing that he's being accused of specifically.
Mm-hmm.
Say, what if this happened to your kid? He said, I would kill him, essentially.
Yeah.
And then how do you look at that and go like, well, but whoops.
I was
Pepsi on vacation. Hypocrisy. But you weren't like hiding it. Like it'd be one thing. That's the thing. Be honest with yourself. In this case, he can because it's against the law. But if you're honest with yourself, you go, oh, you know what? I'm going to have that Pepsi. It's not like you put on a dark pair of sunglasses and like the Ninja Turtle trench coat and fedora, snuck down to a casino, ordered a small Pepsi, and spirited away back up to your room and drank it in complete darkness, sobbing in an empty bathroom.
And yes, I made a bad judgment, bring her by yourself or not letting another teacher know. That's my fault. If they think, then I'm sorry. If they think I've overstepped my boundaries, I'm sorry, but that's not my intent.
What's not your intent?
To be inappropriate. I'm sorry.
What is your intent?
Just to cheer up, play around, try to be, I'm a happy.
See, here's the thing. Like the word inappropriate is such a loose term. Like the English language, every language is so loose. But the word inappropriate, because like if you're into that type of shit, then getting gross with a kid, to me, would not be getting gross to a kid with you. Because I'm the one who finds it gross and you're the one who likes it. So the fact that he says, I would never do anything inappropriate, to him, inappropriate and appropriate are, somewhere in the ether because God knows where his hands have been recently.
Mm.
I don't like being mad all the time. I'm tired of being
I don't
yeah,
want you
but
to go down a path you can't recover from. I don't want you to throw your life away.
Don't paint that picture.
I am trying to
I
help
appreciate
you.
that.
Well, but
I appreciate
do
that.
you,
All
with
the
this
help.
opportunity that
Right.
Boom, we got one. Opportunity. They are always offering you an opportunity to clear yourself. And they are more than happy to offer you that opportunity because the only thing that opportunity can do is harm to your case.
I'm rolling out this carpet and saying, Julio, please just.
And they'll pretend like they're busting their ass so you can confess. Like, oh my God, the amount of energy and time we've spent on you out of the love of another human being to give you this opportunity so that you can confess to us that your hands run a child. Rolling out the red carpet for all you child molesters out there.
Be honest with me. Did
Right.
you touch on the chest and we can all be done here?
Right.
Yeah, like
So
we
did
just
it
go,
happen?
boop, done.
No, ma'am.
I don't think that's true. And I don't understand why you're not just telling me what happened.
You're painting yourself as a monster, and it is horrible.
Painting yourself
You
on
got
that
a
road.
wife and
You're a
3
monster.
kids,
You're down that
a
road on the
house,
path.
a family, all these people who depend on you each and every day.
So why are we going down this path? Why?
Okay, in my personal opinion, that was a mistake. If you're looking for him to break at this point, like all of our cards are on the table, don't bring up the things he has to lose this late in the game. Personally, I would
Yeah.
not say, hey, you got a job, you got a family, you got this, you got that. You're the one trying to talk him out of that by getting him to confess to this. So in the beginning, I can see that building up the confidence and then later knocking it down. But at this point where you're like, just tell us you touched a kid, then be like, think of your kids, man. No,
That could be like kind of like coercion, right?
no, like they're not coercing him, but it's just like, it's an inappropriate, ironically enough, situation for this tactic because you've got them at their lowest. You don't want to be like, because that would make someone clam up. Like
Right.
if I were on, like if I'd forgotten about my wife and kids and I was about to finally unburden myself about this horrifying thing that I had done, I would not want them, or as a detective, I would not want to bring them back up to be like, man, think of them. Then I would clam up again because, oh yeah, I've got a wife and kids and I don't want them to know the gross shit I've been doing.
Right.
Keep them off your lips and out your mouth second half of the interview.
What is
At least here.
causing us to go down this path?
Take me down the river.
Be
I'm a
honest with
pastronaut.
me. I am almost
Honest with you.
hoping that you can recover from this tailspin that we've just entered. Because all of these other people are saying all these things about you, and I am trying very hard to follow you. And I
Trying so
can't
hard.
because I hear what they
Right.
told me just today about you. And I don't know which Julio I'm talking to.
I'm talking.
Am I talking to Julio, who's going to be the monster?
No.
Or am I okay, so
This whole like, oh, this or we that. We've not, this feels out of left field to me because we have not established like the dichotomy of him, of like having a Jekyll and Hyde thing. So to just throw this on the table to be like, I don't know which Julio I'm talking to anymore, when the establishment of like, I mean, if you're gonna pull that Jekyll and Hyde shit, have that be a consistent theme throughout. Be like, they're saying this, but you're saying this, and now I don't know. But like to be like at the 11th hour to be like, well, who am I talking to? Like that
Right.
should have been building up to. It just feels like sloppy and sort of mishandled. It's like getting slapped over across the face with like a big dead fish. It's like, I get what you're going for, but like better next time.
tell me then. Help me understand the Julio that made the mistake.
I wish I could. If I made a mistake, regardless
But
what
you
happened,
made a
if I lose
mistake.
my
It's not
my job,
if you did.
no man.
You did make a mistake
No,
when you
ma'am.
commented about these girls, talked about their bodies. You did make a mistake when you reached out and you touched these students. You made a mistake. I get mistakes. I don't think you're a bad person. I don't want to think that about you.
It's not a
I
mistake.
need
You can
you
do
to-
it more than once.
That's the thing. The mistake angle, I would not, if I were a detective, which I'm not, if I were a detective, I would only pull out the mistake angle if it were a crime of passion, right? Or like if someone is, because when you've got time after time after time after time, the person who's going to bite on to like, oh, it was a mistake after mistake, you'd have to be like Eileen Warnos levels of crazy. But she was just grasping at straws, and she didn't need to be fed like, oh, I was self-defense every time I shot a dude in the face. But yeah, this takes, like, there's a track record here that you can't be like, oh, just, it would be like the literal interpretation of Sideshow Bob hitting rake after rake after rake in real life. Like, nobody is that person.
Help me, though.
Help me help you.
If you didn't make a mistake, I don't think you would have self-reported. I honestly think you would have just continued to live your life and not told anybody. But you self-reported.
Yeah, because
You knew you made a mistake.
no, because we were told every time something happens with the police to let us know, regardless if it's nothing happens.
She didn't say you did anything.
I didn't ever accuse you of offending
No, not
anybody.
you personally, but you said you talked to them, and
Yeah, I talked to them, and they're telling me,
I'm sorry.
it's okay, that, Mr. Soto is making comments about my body. Mr. Soto is saying that I have a nice butt. More than one student said that, not just one, and more than one student heard it.
My personal stance on a lot of this shit is like, depending on your position, like unless it's part of what you do, I would be totally happy if I dealt with everybody asexually. Like if I met everybody and didn't know, except for the gays, God, I love the gays, but everybody else, if they were just asexual, like if I had no idea what your sexual proclivities were and we just did business as like just people who were never going to have to think about each other's genitals, that would be the best thing for me. But obviously, like there's going to be places like bar. I'm just talking about professionally. Personally, do whatever you want, but professionally, whether you're like a government organization or a school or a whatever, I feel like that should be status quo. Obviously, it's not going to happen because not everybody's as, forward thinking. Like the more that you interject sexual innuendo into a place beyond, like, let's say you're a coworker and you're trying to get with them and you're not a creepy one, and even then it gets dicey.
Yeah.
Like I don't tell anybody anything about me that they don't absolutely need to know. Not because I don't want them to know, like I don't want friends, but not everybody needs to know everything about you. And I would rather people not know a thing about me and like to walk up, because, I've been hit on by all and sundry.
Mm-hmm.
It's fine. It's fine, because I would rather be a complete mystery, because that's also more tantalizing, right? If you don't know about somebody, that's compelling about them. They might be a freak in the sheets, but you don't know, because we're all trying to keep that under wraps so shit like this doesn't happen in schools.
Right.
You don't have to say, oh, it's a nice butt. My bad. I'm your teacher and you're 11. Mistake. And you drop a quarter into the, I accidentally complimented the student's butt jar.
It's the oops jar.
Yeah, Jesus.
I'm not making this up. I have all of them on recording saying all these things.
Right.
So why?
But.
And they're not just girl
That-
students, they're boy students too.
Right.
And they don't
Not
pay as much
outside
as no, they heard you make statements. So
Can
why?
I ask you this? If
I didn't
even-
talk about boy butts.
Yeah, he's always so like, boys are girls, boys are girls. But she's like, I've got boys saying stuff too. He's like, what? He's like, I like them young, but I don't like boys. Like, it's so funny where weirdos will draw the line. I shouldn't say weirdos, although he is a weirdo. But where people will draw the line arbitrarily, like, this is okay, but this, like, I get it. It's just something you're not into. But when it comes to like this setting where it's like the law, don't be like, oh, I would never. Just don't say that at all. Like, don't even bring up. Be like, oh, well, it's not a boy. How?
Now I know they're lying.
What inference can you take from that?
if I said this, is that
That's not a crime.
okay?
Also, take a moment to really soak up the lady detective's posture right now. So her head is straight up cocked up toward the camera, right? And she has got her arm at that right angle. And she is like a bulldog. She wants to get up in his face and let him know that she does not buy this, despite the fact that he's still like, no.
Is saying somebody has a nice butt a crime?
Her hilarious pantomime, like she's one of the most animated detectives out there, and maybe one of my favorites as far as physical performance goes.
Not that I.
So did you say it?
Not that I
Maybe,
remember.
I don't know.
Well, I think you
maybe.
did, but it's not a
I don't
crime
know.
to make a comment. It's not a crime. So did you say it?
I don't know. Maybe. I don't know.
Maybe and I don't know are two different things.
So a couple of things that I want to point out here now too is like she is starting to chew on this guy like, again, the aforementioned bulldog on a soup bone. But if we keep checking in with my dude over here, he's rubbing his eyes, he's rubbing his face. Every time he gets a chance, he zips up his valise a little more. Like, he can see the writing on the wall. And when they drop the bomb, that's like, obviously this should have been dropped from the beginning, because then bada boom, we get to it. So the fact that she's ramping up and he's checking out is kind of funny to me, because like most people, I feel like you play off of each other's energy, and there are those situations where when one of you gets ramped up, the other goes way low energy, and vice versa. And I
It's
feel
like, I'm going to let her do this.
yeah, like you can both feed off each other and get amped, or you can be like, you're taking this one. I'm really going to tone it down to about a 2.
I got to conserve my energy.
Yeah, and that's what we're seeing here, because he knows what they've got, but she still wants to, give his ankle a good bite.
Did you say it?
I don't know.
I think you do. I think you do know.
Ma'am, I'm sorry. Detective.
It's okay.
I
Detective
don't know.
man.
I could have. I don't know.
You could have.
I could have.
Okay.
I just don't know.
So how
Oh.
often will we make these statements?
The things that you don't want to say are right there in the middle. Yes or no, people understand. There's respect in a hard left or hard right. But pleading the fifth, I don't know, to the best of my recollection, all of these things, I realize in the mind of the perpetrator, it makes it feel softer because it's not a lie and it's not an admittance. But to everybody on the outside and with the computational power above an amoeba, you go, this feels weird and wrong, because who does that?
Right.
I don't know. Maybe I did. Like the whole maybe thing is even worse. Like the I don't remember thing is infuriating. The maybe thing is frustrating.
Yeah.
If I do, it's blue moon.
Blue moon? Okay, so
Make a sexual
once
comment toward a child
year,
every
once
blue
a week,
moon.
once a month, once every couple weeks?
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. Just
Is
whenever.
it only to particular students?
The hot ones. Oh, whoops.
I don't know. Just whatever happens that day, I might like try to. If they're sad or something, I might make a comment. If they're being goofy, I'll say, "Oh, you're goofy" or something like that.
Okay, so like
You know,
what comments would you make if they're sad? Do you ever tell girls
If they're goofy, I would say they're goofy. If they were sad, I would say they were sad. You sound like a really great teacher, Mr. Soto.
Right.
that they're pretty?
Totally cute.
They're cute?
Yeah, like that. Like if they dress up, this. Oh, you got your hair really nice and everything. But whatever, you know. But I don't like, oh, you're beautiful.
See, that's a believable admission, right?
Yes.
You lower, you say, yeah. You say they're beautiful. I say they're cute. An admission is something that is completely within the realm of possibility. Like a teacher can, like, picture day, say, oh, that's cute. I totally buy that. Why not adopt that throughout? It would have been so much smoother. But the no and then the it's just like hitting brick wall after brick wall. And it's like a cartoon character. Now all my eyes are black and I got bricks for teeth.
And all this stuff.
No, I'm not saying that you're looking at them like swooning, like,
Yeah.
oh, you're so beautiful. Like,
No.
What does it say?
Fantastic Planet says the boys' butts thing is like when Debbie got Lauren to admit he wouldn't have approached a 13-year-old boy the same way he did Kayla.
Oh, yeah. Which is weird, too. Like, again, it harkens back to that bizarre line that is ethereal where, like, it's okay for someone like Lauren Armstrong to be like, yeah, 13-year-old, but a 13-year-old boy,
Yeah.
we'll still stick hard to our gender stereotypes even when every other taboo is being broken, which is, again, like a hilarious hypocrisy Sunday.
Yep.
Like,
No, not
like we
like
had picture day 2 weeks ago, a couple weeks ago.
Oh, you go picture it.
And a couple of girls and boys don't really dress up too much. I only have one boy dressed up in like those fake ties.
But I did say
and
he
I
was
had a couple
cute.
girls dressed up like, oh, you look very nice today. You look, you got a dress on, your hair's all done. You look very nice. I didn't think that was inappropriate.
it's not. You look very nice.
Right.
You look cute.
But I didn't say, oh, you look hot or anything like that. I don't.
What about sexy? Have you
No.
ever described one of the girls as sexy?
No.
You ever sung a song and it had the word sexy in it at school?
No.
Have you ever declared you were bringing sexy back?
The girl said I played a song because we had a couple of extra minutes. I played YouTube. I said, okay, you guys play YouTube. Don't put anything that has, because it's not filtered. I said, don't put anything that there's a curse word or a bad word in it, because I'll get in trouble. And so they.
So I've seen this a million times, but in this particular moment, I'm enthralled by his hand motion. So he's doing all of these things. What do you think he's referring to when he pulls his fingers yay apart and goes, it's not filtered? YouTube, it's not filtered? What do you think that, I'll take your answers in the comments. What do you think he's holding on to when he says it's not filtered?
They played a song, and it said sexy or something like that. And I was sitting at my desk, and they were all dancing, and I looked up. That's where that girl said I called her sexy. I didn't call her sexy. That the song played sexy. I looked up, and that's where, and I told my boss. I said, that's probably where she heard it sexy, because I did not say, because I'm at my desk, and they're all in the front of the TV monitor watching the YouTube video.
Again, it would be very difficult for a child of even subpar intelligence to confuse a YouTube lyric being sung on a TV across the room to be emanated from the throat of her teacher on the other side of the room. This, again, feels like the revisionist history of like, oh, I told her not to follow me, but she did, and I hit her with the shovel, when it's like...
And then that sexy, and I caught my eye, like, and then they all looked at me, it's like, oh, sorry, we forgot about this word. But I didn't, and then, I told Dr., just like I told, she happened to be right in front of me with the other two girls, and then,
Julio, we told you we watched the cameras, right?
Right.
For that day?
Right.
For where?
For school?
For where? We watched the cameras that day. For where? Where do you work, Julio? Where do you fucking work? And where have we been talking about exclusively for God knows how long due to the edits.
Right.
On the 13th, we told you we
No, I'm
watched
talking
the
about
cameras.
different, no, I'm talking about,
No, I
that was
know,
a different
but
thing.
we told you we watched the cameras, right? So we watched all of them.
Okay.
And are you aware that there are cameras in your classroom?
Did you guys hear that? 51 minutes into this video, probably 2 hours, 3 hours into the interrogation itself. And I believe it to be true because she'll come, like, cameras in the classroom. We saw it all. Let's see what she saw.
Yes.
You are aware of the cameras in your classroom.
And he's aware that there are cameras not only in the school, but in their specific classrooms. This situation is getting spicy. Let's see where it goes.
That's what I was told.
Why are the cameras showing me what you're telling me?
No.
It was edited.
Why are the cameras showing me what that person is telling me? I don't know. Because cameras capture things as they happen, Julio. I don't know if they taught you that in teacher school, but they've been using cameras to capture things for over 20 years now.
You don't know? If the camera is in your classroom and it's showing us what she told us, how don't you know?
Exactly.
Why can't you explain that to me?
I don't know.
Well, help me.
Sorry, I didn't say him again.
It's okay.
We need a Sarah Boone laptop up in this shit. What they needed to do was throw it up on the fucking table. Lady cop here would get all pissed and be like, look,
Yeah.
here it is. You're grabbing her chest. Explain this video evidence.
Move the Bible out of the way.
Like,
Put
we're
the laptop down.
yeah, move the Bible, move the keyboard, move the grades. We are years away from a plausible deep fake. Explain this, Mr. Soto.
Help me.
Like, if this were Bruce Willis in a vodka commercial in Russia, then you'd be like, I don't know. But it took place in an elementary school.
Doesn't look like me.
Why is the camera showing these things? Help me.
I don't know.
You have to know either you did it or you didn't, and the camera shows you did it.
The arm.
So tell me what happened, why you did it. Tell me why. I know it happened. I know it did. I watched it.
Why?
Multiple times. I watched it.
That's the thing. We know why, or we know what happened. We know when it happened. We just want to know why. And that's on our bingo card. We just want to know why. Yeah, okay. Just want to know why.
Just want to know why.
Was it an accident?
No, nothing's, I mean, I don't do anything
So
for,
It
was
wasn't
it
an accident.
to touch her.
Yeah.
Did you see the look on the detective's face?
Yeah.
So it wasn't an accident. He goes, to touch her? Again, what are we talking about? But, like, you can feel the he's confounded and frustrated in one, like, swirl cone, and it plays out perfectly just on the little bit of brow we can see. He goes, yeah, what are we doing here? It would be like, imagine getting a new job and walking your way through a pie factory, right? And getting taught how to run all the machinery in a pie factory and then producing pies that come out of the pie factory. And then at the end of the thing, like you're the employee teaching the new one, right? Here's all the stuff. You're walking them through. Their first question is, what do we make here? That's Julio Soto.
Like I said, if
Certified
I touched
bra
her,
moment.
that I don't recollect.
Oh.
If I touch her, then it's an
I
accident.
know a lot of the answers already. Ask Kayla.
I mean,
we established the whole time they knew all the answers.
yeah, but they have to specifically say that. That's why they're saying we already know the answers, because typically what that comes in response to is the truth finally.
Mm-hmm.
When they finally start telling some truth, they go, hey, good news. We knew that. We knew a lot of these answers already. We just had to see if you'd be honest with us. But that hasn't happened here yet. So I'm calling it no.
But you just said
This
it
was
wasn't.
not an accident. It wasn't.
Dude, male detective is still in the bra moment. He is caught in the stupidity vortex of Mr. Soto.
Julio, help me. I'm
Help.
trying to do the best that I can for you, and I
Which is what?
Nothing.
don't know
Realistically,
why
right?
I'm holding on to this. There are cameras in the classroom. You know about them.
He knew about the cameras.
They're showing me what happened. Tell me. Just tell me.
I just need one more to get a bingo.
Just tell me. I watched it happen. Just tell me.
Not for nothing, but he is barely broken down. Like, his behavior has not really drastically changed since early on. So maybe it is working internally and he's becoming, his internal defenses are broken, but he does not seem to be any worse for wear. And this is a huge bomb, right? To be like, hey, there's cameras. He admits to knowing about them and they have reviewed the footage. That would be like a game changer early on that could have gotten us past, like, what is a tickle, or what is, how often do you go to lunch, or what are specials, or how is PE? All of that could have just been by the wayside because, again, we've got footage in the classroom.
Yep.
Spoiler alert.
I don't want you to be this.
I'm going to go to jail.
Okay, so soft admission number one. I'm gonna go to jail. Like, you cannot get more implicit in your confession than I'm going to go to jail.
Right. What's the point in talking anymore?
But you can see now that the mood has sort of subsided here, and she's reached out to make physical contact. A lot of times when they're near this breaking point, the detective will reach out to make physical contact in a positive manner, which will get some sort of break, like the Nathaniel Schimmel interrogation happened like that. He gets a pat on the back and he breaks down. And we saw it happen here. She put her hand on his shoulder and he gave us that soft confession. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm going to jail. Like, it opened up something. That minimal human connection opened up a primitive pathway to, which, again, we're very broken because he was already doing that.
Yeah.
No matter what, you guys going
But
I know how it works.
know what
I'm going
happened.
to go to jail right after this.
I want to know what happened. And I want to know why. I don't want you to worry about any of this
Don't
other
worry.
caca. I want you to tell me why. Because I want to be able to articulate why. I want
No
to be able to say,
caca,
Julio's a
Julio.
guy that made a mistake, and maybe he needs a little help. Maybe he needs some counseling.
In jail?
Maybe, is jail counseling?
No, but
Is jail therapy?
Here's why there will always be problems, because nobody sees their problems as problems. That's why there will always be a criminal justice system. No matter how perfect the system, doesn't matter. This guy does not see a problem with his actions. People who kill and think they can, murder, robbery, arson, all that shit. There's always going to be a subset of people out there who just, it's okay to them. So how do you catch those people? You can't. He doesn't think he's done anything wrong. There are people who are out and proud about liking minors.
Julio, tell me what happened. Just tell me. Because I just watched it. And I just want to know what happened and why it happened. Tell me. Let me help you. I've been doing this for a little while. Let me help you. I'm trying to help you.
11 years.
Well, if you feel that I'm guilty, then
I didn't say you were guilty or innocent. I'm telling you what I'm being told, what I'm seeing.
So that's like probably the 1,000,000th time this interrogation alone that the suspect basically says, well, you're saying this. And they go, no, I'm not saying this. I am simply asking a question that heavily implies that I think that about you.
Right.
But I've never said it explicitly, man. But they coach it in such a way that, obviously I see through it and anybody else can probably see through it. But in the moment and all the stress, it's probably not going to get past those filters.
Mm-hmm.
With my own eyes and tell me.
My own ears, Julio. These ones.
You're a stand-up guy. You didn't try to run from us. You didn't try to fight us. And I don't think you wanted to
Fight?
hurt anybody. And I've made accidents.
Bingo.
He's made accidents. We've all been in accidents. We've all done things that are stupid. I want you to tell me.
No matter what, I'm going to lose my career. I'm probably going to go to jail after tonight
For sure.
Probably get a
I respect
divorce.
on that.
because that's my whole future is teaching. I'm not going to ever. I'll get fired right after this if I.
That's the thing too. Like cognitively, you can be aware of everything that's on the line, but if you can, subtract who you think you are from your behavior, it will just, be a thing that you have no control over, quote unquote. Because I'm sure in his own mind, he is helpless to the fact that he wants to do all of these things. And maybe conceptually he knows it's wrong, or critically thinking wise, he knows it's wrong, or something like that. But it didn't stop him. And he had everything to lose. Like, punishment is not a deterrent.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if punishment were a deterrent, like, losing your wife, your kid, your job, everything, and then becoming a registered sex offender, that's a pretty big punishment. And not even that could keep his hand off a child.
Right.
Under the gaze of multiple cameras.
If I go to jail tonight, I'm going to be fired.
And you don't think you can make a positive outcome from something that is negative?
Spin this, man. Burn
Like
your
I
life
told
at
you,
the
you're a smart
stake.
guy.
Be a martyr.
And if you allow us to help you, it doesn't have to be the end-all, be-all.
And then I'm going to have a criminal record.
Well, totally.
Julio, people make mistakes every day.
That's why pencils have erasers.
If it
Julio.
happened, it happened. We know it happened. We watched it happen. We're not here by mistake, and we're not here by accident, and everything is in God's plan. It's by His design.
Bingo. We got a mention of God, so we have swears to God or brings up Jesus. Either one, we got a religious reference. It's all in His plan. Thank you, Detective.
We are all sinners, and we are not all perfect.
Go on.
We all fall short of the glory, man.
Tell us.
Can I have my lawyer?
Look and see how quick that shit wraps up. Like, as soon as it's, can I get my lawyer? They know to get the fuck out of the room, and that's God bless them. Because here's the thing. There is a gray area when it comes to like bringing up the lawyer, because if you as the suspect say, do I need a lawyer or should I get a lawyer, or if it's anything other than give me a lawyer in any uncertain terms, a lot of places, a lot of municipalities will just make the detectives essentially just reiterate that it was a hypothetical, that you don't actually want a lawyer, and you're cool to keep going.
Yeah.
So, but you could say, he said in no uncertain terms, I want my lawyer, and they jetted. But the fact that he subjected himself to hour after bone-crushing hour of this.
Knowing that there's cameras in his room.
Right, and
like even without like, okay, yes, there's cameras at the school period. Okay, you could probably get by with that.
But like the core of a criminal is to get away with as much as you can. So when you get caught, you don't give in anymore. So I can understand why someone not knowing of evidence would make up a story but give themselves the loopholes. In this case, where he knew basically everything the police had because he was aware of where he was at all times and what he was doing and all the witnesses, it's the complete antithesis of, like if Leopold and Loeb were the genius killers, this guy is like the fucking dude with the giant sucker and the beanie propeller hat with two crossed eyes of the crime world.
Yeah.
Because like, how else? But, it's not unique to him either, because Walmart footage has probably captured more people buying kill kits that was later turned over to a municipality of some sort. Mm-hmm. Probably more than like you could watch in a lifetime.
Oh yeah.
But that's just where we are. So like, who's smart and who's dumb? And if you just act in the moment, or you think it's okay, or this, that, or the other thing, we're all just, again, here we are in the craziest game of cat and mouse. But a lot of times it does feel like we're toying with our food. So here's what I'm going to do. If you're interested in true crime stuff, like this sort of raw stuff, like the interrogation, the aforementioned Blue Dot that we just watched on, there's a Red Dot out there. There is OP Presents. Susan Bonds puts out a bunch of great raw content. And then, we can get into like the people who like do produce stuff eventually. But like for the raw stuff, those are the ones I go to. Like, because with the Freedom of Information Act, you can just request it. And then since it's public domain, there it is for everyone and all and sundry to see. Mm-hmm. And what a wild ride, because it's... I mean, it's stuff you are sure goes on behind some closed door, and the fact that you get to ask for it, and that now, like, again, I'll say thank God for Florida.
Yeah.
Everything, anything you want, all in sundry. It's so great, and you get to watch it, and it's free, and it's non-scripted. It's like real reality TV. This is real reality. There's no spray tans. No one has a season-long arc. It's just people legitimately fighting either for their lives or for the law or for whatever, and the stakes are as real as they can get. What a wild ride. Anyway, guys, so check those out if you want. In a couple of days, I'm going to have another one. It's a big one, and since this one was so long, I don't know what I'm going to do about it. I might have to cut it up into chunks, but it's a fun one. It's one I started this game for because it has so many of the tropes.
I was so close to getting bingo.
I was one away. All I needed was now's the time. I just needed now is the time, because there's always the time to confess.
I needed let's cut the BS and why do you think we're here as like for two separate.
Yeah, and since this one is so choppy, we missed all the Miranda. I don't know how he was Mirandized. It was just, we sailed on through the night.
Yeah.
But that's it, guys. Thank you for showing up and staying. If you did, I appreciate it. It was crazy long. That was a 2.5 hour, 1 hour interrogation. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, we'll catch you on the next one. And I don't know what it'll be. Hopefully it'll be cool.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
For this, try to.
Fistful of Podcasts Radio.